We are coming to you live from Port Elizabeth, Aldous Gabranti Raceway, and it has been an exciting day of racing. We've had 2 days of great racing here, and it's just about to get better because we have the last round of SAE for this weekend, and 3 hours of racing still ahead of us. If you are in the area, we've also got some great bands. We've got Jesse Clegg that has just taken to the stage. We've got Good Luck a little bit later, so make sure you come and join us here in PE at Aldous Gabranti Raceway. I'm going to take a walk down the grid and see who we have joining us tonight. Let us start with Kwanda. Let us see if I can get to Kwanda. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with Tavares over here. Barissimo, is that you? I haven't spoken to you the whole day today, sir. How you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good. How's the car performing? What are we expecting? You're sitting very pretty here.
No, the car's running exceptionally well. We had a great first stint. Lots of strategy involved, so now we're looking forward to the night race.
All right, so what is the plan? What is the strategy?
Oh, we have to play it by ear, obviously try and stay safe. I think that's the first and foremost. Night racing is completely different, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, well, best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, we'll give Verissimo some time to get sorted there. I'm going to move over to Kwanda. This is a bit of a strange sight to see a bonnet on the grid in front of a car instead of on it. Let me see if I can get in here for Kwanda. What's happening?
How's it?
Good.
Just looking to hopefully beat this Porsche, yeah. But no, on a serious note, Chops wasn't feeling 100%, so I said I'll take over and then do the next 2 hours, and then if he's feeling 100%, then he can step in for the last hour. But other than that, just here to do what we do.
Yeah, do what we do. A great finish for you in the last race.
I'm super happy with the podium. Would have loved to be ahead of the Porsche, but we'll take as many points as we can.
100%. All right, best of luck for today. And good luck for the guys cleaning your windscreen.
Thank you.
All right, that is Kwanda Mokoena in that car. Hoping to get past the Porsche. Let me see who I have over here. I'm going to see Donnie. Donnie's not the biggest fan of cameras. And Donnie, do you want to give me a quick word there?
How's it, man? How are you?
Good, and you?
Yeah, lucky, man. We're for the second 3 hour, and I'm so excited.
Okay, cool. Donnie, I see all the engines are starting up, so I'm going to hit it. All right, best of luck.
It's a privilege to have Donnie in our team. He's the best, and what can I say? We're going to get to the top 3.
100%. Top 3 it is. Let's get off this grid.
Well, that was Dani van Niekerk from Cape Town, and they're not wrong. He is an exceptionally talented driver with exceptional pace. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us, welcome to the final round of the SAE in Port Elizabeth this weekend. Not the final round of the season, of course, but just this weekend. We've had an incredibly jam-packed weekend of racing, and now the drivers will have to drive at night. Of course, I'm joined by Stephen Koenig in the virtual commentary booth. And Stephen, having a look at this start grid here, Hill and Stephen, Michael Stephen, that is, the other Stephen, on the front row of the grid. So in that Aston Martin, that means that they will be leading us off. But I don't see that Aston Martin there at the moment. Steve, what's going on?
I was about to say, I do not see Q releasing the Aston Martin out of the armory. But that has put Tavares in the pound seat. He's going to be in first place. Kwanda Mokoena is going to be in second. I'm not quite sure. I'd love to know what on earth happened to the Aston Martin. It was doing so well, and you know, come the last 3 hour in the dark, they've decided it's not going to be. Oh,
yeah. So did they decide that they're going out, or is there something wrong with the car? I think there's only one person for the job, and that's Kriya Gang.
Of course, she can help anyone, and there's a bit of got to get back to the pits there and go and have a chat to Chris there in the pits, maybe to get a little bit more out of him instead of I'm not going to tell you any strategy. But it has shaken it up a little bit with Stephen out of it. You got Lartaka and Tavares who are battling it out for the championship with Mokoena. We saw that Kwanda said, we want to get past that Porsche. Now's the opportunity. In the dark, going to be challenging.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to go racing. We've got the Porsche on the front row of the grid now, and it's Latecan Tavares, Mokoena. Latecan gets away quickly. That is Verissimo Tavares driving there at the moment. He gets away very quickly. Kwanda Mokoena tries to stick with him. Donny van Niekerk will be fighting with the big boys now in that polo. And as mentioned, he is very, very fast in that polo. There he goes around the outside. We've got, that looks like, that looks like one of the Ligiers getting stuck in there as well. And we're waiting for the championships, or at least the standings, to sort themselves out. But a certain Porsche finds itself on the front of this pack. And just look at that brand new spec Porsche looking fantastic there. Tavares behind the wheel. He should have Mokoena stuck up right behind him. There goes the polo. There goes, looks like the backdraft is back of McLaughlin and Clark. So McLaughlin and Clark back on the start grid. The 007 car of Ellison and Horn also making its way through. A couple of cars are missing though from the grid, but as they now way through to complete the first lap, we'll quickly see what the official standings are. And just like you folks out there, we're having to squint our eyes ever so slightly just to make sure. But that does look like not the Botma Kruger car, but in fact that is Rian Botma. That is Rian Botma in second place over there. So Rian Botma is in second place in that 78 car. Donny van Niekerk finds himself in fourth place. Benjamin Morgendroet in fifth. And yes, that is Steve Clark behind the wheel of that backdraft slingshot over there. Baruch is behind that. Peter just a bit further back. Kile Holomisa. Rudy Barnard also in the mix. Unfortunately, that is it for now. The rest of the guys are not on the grid right now. Steve, we're going to have to get some inside info to find out what happened to some of the other cars. Dango Patamba out there for the first time. At least they're out there again today at the start of the race and not having to start from the pits. Here comes Botma now, quickly up behind Verissimo Tavares.
It is going to be a charge, and just taking a look, Colin Ellison and Andrew Horn weren't able to get the car out in time. Hopefully they can get it going. I know I tried giving a call and had everyone trying to get hold of him, and all we were told is we're busy, and we heard the number 13 spanner getting called once, twice, and 3 times more. So they're frantically working on that car. But nice to see the Ligier out there not going and hammering the car. Rian Botma deciding to hold it behind Tavares, looks into turn 1, gets by, but you could see not just giving it everything she's got right now. Just tame it down a little bit, let the car go. They had difficulties in the first 3 hour, which was a little bit earlier. Now looking to just try and keep that car going. And you don't have to thrash it. You are an A-class car, but you know that you do have the advantage over the Porsche 911 GT3 992 Cup car.
Indeed, Rian Botma out there at the moment. His teammate early on doing incredible times of 58 seconds. But that does mean that the other Ligier is not out there at the moment, Steve. And I mean, they've hardly completed any laps today at all. Plenty practice laps. But when it came to the race itself, unfortunately, we didn't see that Ligier out there much this weekend.
Unfortunately not. It seems like the Ligier is being plagued with problems at the moment. And I know Nick Adcock and team would have been frantically working to get that car sorted. For them to throw in the towel means they found something that was just detrimental, and to, instead of busting the car completely, rather get it sorted out properly and come back fighting for the final race. And you know, that's the way they do it. Even in LMP3s overseas, Nick Adcock and the team go and race in the Asian Le Mans series in the LMP3, and that's the same thing. If the car is not working 100%, let's not go break it and cost us a lot more money. Let's rather get it sorted out for the next race. But so far, Rian Botma doing a 103.8 is slower. The guys are going a little bit slower. Steve Clark, though, doing a 108.2, which was faster than Tavares doing a 109.5. But I do think the guys are trying to get their eyes in, because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is not load shedding. This is just dark racing.
It's dark out there, but one of the bonuses is that Port Elizabeth Capera Raceway over there is one of the more well-lit circuits in South Africa. We went to East London. We've seen what Kyalami looks like at night. Even Kyalami, arguably our best, most prestigious circuit, is absolutely dark when it comes to nighttime racing. Rian Botma leads us off at the moment. So he's gotten past Verissimo Tavares, and Verissimo is 11 seconds back. So what's going on there is quite slow at the moment. Rian Botma leads us off. Verissimo Tavares in second position. Steve Clark in third place. So Steve Clark just 2 seconds behind Tavares. I'd like to have a look at that race with Donnie van Niekerk a further 3 seconds back. Benjamin Morgenroot just 4 seconds down on him. So this is ramping up to be quite a race, even for the guys that aren't in the same class.
Well, I just want to also check out. It looks like Andrew Horn managed to get out. They've gotten the car out, so they started from the pits. But Patemba, down in 12th place, has done the fastest lap of the race with a 101.9, and he's lying in 12th. So they got that car out. He's got his eye in, and he's pushing as hard as he can. It's nice to see they're getting guys back out there. But Patemba in the second Ligier is out on circuit. So both Ligiers are out there. Nick Adcock's car managed to get out. Kwanda McKenna, though, dropping way down the field. He's actually landed up in 12th place, looking by our timing board. So something has gone catastrophic. It's gone catastrophe has happened for that GT4 car. And it was mentioned, Kriya pointed out, that the bonnet was open and they were doing a little bit of work. I wonder if there's a little gremlin that started popping up.
Yeah, Kwanda McKenna noticeably down on the grid. So let's go through this grid from the bottom up. We've got Kriya, though. Before we do that, we've got Kriya down on the grid. But look at that, Steve Clark now pressurizing Verissimo Tavares. And I'd like to keep eyes on this race as quickly as we can get back to it, because this is for second position. But let's hear what Kriya has to say. Kriya, are you ready for us down in the pit lane?
All right, guys, so a quick update. You wanted to know what was happening about the Aston Martin. Unfortunately, Paul Hill, he did come back. The reason why he was out of the series for quite some time was because of a shoulder injury. He went in for a surgery, obviously now back on the racetrack and still feeling a little fragile in the arm. So that's why they decided that they were going to retire today.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And as mentioned earlier on to you guys, when it comes to shoulder injuries and injuries like that, that's always on the back of the mind. When it comes to this type of race, if you're wondering to yourself, is this going to hold? Is it going to manage? And when you if it's reconstructive surgery on the shoulder, that's of course rotator cuff, etc. It's not ideal for this type of racing, because that's exactly the muscle that you're using all the time. As we now cut to the second place battle, Verissimo Tavares out in second place. Steve Clark now finally with the car underneath him that works finds himself in third position. Donnie van Niekerk in a very respectable fourth place over there. Benjamin Morgenroot in fifth place. Baron Pretorius second in Class E in sixth position. But the car to watch now is Mikhail Patemba, who is chomping at the bit to try and get those lap times down. A best time of 101.999. He's down in 11th position, but I don't think he's going to be there for long, folks. Watch out for Mikhail Patemba in the second of those Ligiers. Speaking of Ligiers, there goes one right now.
Absolutely amazing. But we've got Kriya going and chatting to the guys in the Audi garage to find out what's happening with Kwanda McKenna's car. Kriya, down to you.
I have a very quick answer to it, and I can actually show you. This is the problem that we had at Kwanda McKenna's car. It was a massive puncture, which obviously the now tire is completely shredded as he was coming back in. But that is the reason why he was going slow. Team has now obviously repaired that, changed the wheel, and he's back out on track.
Okay, so back out on track. And as mentioned, let's start from the bottom. We've got Andrew Horn back out on circuit in the 007 car. He's completed 4 laps. Kwanda McKenna has completed 6 laps. The Dangor Patemba Besaidano car also on 6 lap. Bekele, Mikhail and Arno Pater also on 6 lap, with Pater Anand Pater just completing his 7th lap. Rudy Barnard and the rest of the drivers all on lap 7 and 8. So even though Andrew Horn is only on lap 5, he's still only 3 laps down on the leader, Steve. So it's still pretty much early days, and I think we need to start figuring out which one of the Ligiers is which. But I think that is Patemba over there. That is, yes it is. That is Patemba in that car. And just look at the pace of the young South African over there, who has represented us at DTM Trophy. Now finds himself in a totally different car and having to put down the hammer at the beginning of this 3-hour race with just 10 minutes down. Patemba with everything to play for. He's got the speed though, but can he catch up to the drivers in front of him? He's already worked his way up to 9th position.
It's going to be a hard work for Patemba. It's not going to be easy, and looking forward to seeing what that Ligier can do. I mean, It's going to be a hard climb, but 3 hours is a bit of time to be able to catch up to the back of Rian Botma. Now also strategy is going to come into play, so I'm going to see how that all works out. But Tavares at the moment, who is in second place, looks like he's actually dropped to third place because Steve Clark has come by ahead of him, is fighting for the championship. Steve Clark, a little bit further down in the championship, now finds himself second overall, first for C-Class, and that slingshot is not going anywhere. Tavares trying to go on the inside, but just couldn't do it. Steve Clark, though, is on rails at the moment.
Yeah, Steve Clark utilizing the potential of that car. High potential, we saw it earlier on in race 1, but unfortunately not able to maximize that over the course of that 3-hour race. Now, though, in the dark, Steve Clark from No Sweat Racing, based down there at Daisy Raceway, is currently in second position. And he's got Botma now just in his sights, I'm sure. But the pace of that Steve Clark car, no match for Rian Botma at this stage. Botma doing 105, Steve doing 108. And of course, they aren't in the same class, Mr. Koenig. I shouldn't call you Steve now because that's going to get a little bit confusing.
We've just come everywhere. Steve's are the best. That's why we're all around in motorsport and around the world. But just taking a look, Patemba putting in the fastest lap of the race, 101.3. He's now in 8th place. He's not hanging around and clawing his way through. Steve Clark going and doing a 106 on that last lap. So actually getting closer to Rian Botma's time in the Ligier. So I think the nighttime has actually evened out the playing field. But Patemba has got his eye in. He's not hanging around, and he wants first place. Wants to do justice to that Adcock Ligier that has really stolen the hearts of many in the endurance scene here in SA.
Well, it's very cool to see him behind the wheel of that car. And for someone that's now a first-time driver in that car, he's doing 101s, which is a second faster than the lead car of Botma, and Patemba now doing another 101.9 in the dark. So Patemba is the man to watch at this stage, and so glad that we finally get to say that. We've been waiting to see him max out his potential here in South Africa. He's starting to find his rhythm in the DTM Trophy, and it's all about experience for the young South African, and not been racing. I mean, he's got all these legends around him, all these veterans around him, and he's certainly one of the youngest guys on the field. Last year, we saw him team up with Michael Steven and get a win at Red Star Raceway. This time, though, hopefully to do the same here and finish off this evening and this weekend on a high. They've got 13 minutes of racing completed. Benjamin Morgan sets his fastest time of a 109.9 in the dark, and they are leading off Class E once again. And hopefully no accelerator cables pop out this time.
It is going to be very, very interesting. And taking a look at the comments, guys are asking what time does this go on to? Well, 10 o'clock at night, but the party doesn't stop because we've got concerts as well. But these drivers are going to have to drive through fatigue. Remember, they've been awake all day. They've worked, they've chatted, and now they have to go until 10 o'clock while going at full pace.
For the next couple of hours, Steve. I mean, this is incredible stuff here. We got Mikael Patemba still setting faster laps. Mikael almost in the 59-second range now. And Mikael Patemba is a man on the move at the moment. Benjamin Morgan in front of him, Dani van Niekerk in front of that, but he's looking at one man, and that is Verissimo Tavares, also in Class A. And then, of course, the other one that he's looking at is Rian Botma, who's leading this race in Class A as well. This is turning out to be quite an exciting turn of events here, ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned. The racing continues, and it's nice to see a new name on the grid. Even though we've seen these cars race before, there's a couple of new drivers to watch out for.
Oh, there we go. Patemba coming by, going and looking to claw up. It looks like he's gone past Donnie and is really working hard to try and make up a bit of ground. But Rian Botha is actually, looks like he's getting caught up behind back markers a little bit. There is our Patemba leading the fantastic job, and it's absolutely striking. I love the LED light of the drivers do. Just to identify them, it really helps, especially when you're in the pits and you're busy looking, trying to figure out where is your car as they come by. You're not just going it as a number when it it's like you can see by a little light bar. You can see some of the roadsters have a light bar that goes right across the roll cage to go and show it off. But I'm amazed at Amber's pace point. It is incredible, and now we're going to see what that leash really do. All it needs to do now is last 3 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours and 45 minutes to go. Mikhail Patamba does a 102, the leader of the race. Rian Botma does a 104, and Tavares does a 108. So Mikhail Patamba, if he can keep this pace up, they are certainly going to be within striking distance. There goes the Audi GT4, though, of Mokoena back in the race and only a few laps down. So he is on lap 12 at the moment. So not back on the standings as we once again get eyes on Mikhail Patamba. The small gap we're looking at the moment is Tavares and Van Niekerk, who aren't really on similar sort of pieces of equipment. The gap between Clark and Tavares is 9.5 seconds. And Mikhail Patamba now suddenly starting to climb slowly past everybody, and he's about to be on the lead lap, Steve. Rian Botma just slots onto lap number 15, though. But yeah, the lead lap is lap 15. Mikhail Patamba on lap 14, just under 1 minute behind, or just over, I apologize, 1 minute behind Rian Botma. Kwanda Mokoena on lap 13. So luckily all the woes happened early on for these guys, and it was quick. So most of these guys, the top 10, are within 2 laps of the leader. So that's not too bad. Dango Patamba and Raceday are also out there. And we've got Kriya out in the pit lane over there, and she's going to be giving us some input later on. We're just waiting for her to get ready later on, as here comes, that is of course the Ligier over there, and we're going to use the same camera for a little bit to try and catch up to some of these cars. That is of course the S's on your left hand side over there, the iconic S's, and we can just watch the cars come through the S's as a little bit of a tussle taking place there between those backdraft Cobras over there. Plenty backdraft, some flashing lights in the mix as well. Mikhail Patamba with another fastest lap, just coming through with a 1 minute time over there. And Mikhail Patamba certainly looking very, very racy, and there he is. He's got Benjamin Morgenroot just a little bit further back. And Mikhail Patamba, I think Mikhail Patamba is going to be catching these guys quickly. He's currently on lap number 15, and that puts him 7 seconds behind Dani Van Niekerk and about 12 seconds behind Verissimo Tavares. And I definitely think that Mikhail Patamba is the man to watch here today. This is turning into quite an exciting race so far. Unfortunately, our cameras are down at the moment. There's some comms issues that we're going to be sorting out. And that car with the blue lights over there, that's a Morgenroot car, in case you were wondering, also setting their fastest lap. And now we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers, 6 setting their fastest laps of the race. So the drivers now starting to find their rhythm, Steve, and starting to get back in the mix as our cameras start to come back online, and we start to show you some more of the action up close and personal here in Port Elizabeth. There goes, that is the Dango Patamba and Raceday car over there circulating, and not the fastest car here today, but definitely in the mix, and at least now they are able to keep things going as we head into the 15th and 16th laps of this SAE 3-hour race.
You want to know why I love night racing, Ernest? Take a look at the tires when they're braking for the corners. Take a look. You'll see those brake discs glowing, absolutely glowing. You'll see the cars backfire as they change down through the gears, and it's just amazing. And you know, just take a look. When we looked at the Super Cup the last time, you could see the brake disc glowing in the dark, and that shows you how hard they're braking for these corners. So there's something to keep an eye out for, and some beautiful photo moments for anyone that's at the circuit, because nothing's better than seeing everything lighting up.
Exactly. This is what we love, night racing. It's all about that. The atmosphere is just incredible. And yes, it's a little bit more difficult to see the cars as we see the Indy Oil car of the Morgenroot go by there. And that blue light on that car is quite significant, because then you know you've got a Morgenroot coming up behind you. And look at that. It's all over the bars, those LEDs. Very cleverly done. Even around the front of the car last time, if I'm not mistaken. So that is Morgenroot car. So some can remind me in the comments. But there's Morgan Root, and the one driving at the moment is, of course, Benjamin Morgan Root, the son of Ben Morgan. Christian is the other son, as we see coming out very slowly out the pits there, a little bit too slowly if you ask me. Fikile Olomisa down the strip, crosses the line, sets his fastest lap time as well. So the driver's definitely starting to pick up the pace a little bit. And we look at Mikhail Patamba now up into third place. Mikhail Patamba is in third position on lap 18. Verissimo Tavares now getting dispatched by Mikhail Patamba. And it looks like Mikhail Patamba is on a hard charge. Tavares not able to keep pace with him at the moment. Steve Clark is now up ahead. And Mikhail Patamba is a man, ladies and gentlemen. The South African now chasing down hard, bringing in some of the international experience. Maybe, Steve, but this is looking to be an incredible race so far, as we see a lot of the guys starting to chase down the cars in front of them.
Patamba was told one thing in the pits, and I can see it. Go out and stamp you here at Aldo Scribanti. Do whatever you to ensure that gets on the podium for this second 3 hours tonight. Make it count. That is exactly what he's doing. He started way at the back, charged all the way to third place. He's only done 19 laps of the race. He's done 19 laps and has come last right up to third place. I take my hat off to the youngster.
Yeah, the youngster is performing exceptionally well. There we go. We got eyes on him now. He's 8 seconds behind Steve Clark, but going at this current rate, he should catch up very quickly. Let's keep them become a Class A car, because once he gets past Steve Clark, it's a straight shot towards Rian Botma, and we wanted to see these Ligiers battle it out, Steve. That's why we came here, as the sparks go flying from underneath that car over there. Looks like somebody did the graphics upgrade on this game over here. And there is Botma. That is the gap between Botma and Mikhail Patamba. So Mikhail Patamba is about 1 lap down on Botma, and he's just unlapped himself. And now we're starting to catch up with Steve Clark. The gap was 8 seconds. And now the gap, we're going to wait and see what that gap is as we go through the gap now. 54 seconds to the leader, 2 seconds. Clear over to you very shortly. Let's hear what Clear has to say. The gap now 2 seconds behind Steve Clark and Patamba, and this is going to be for second position. But let's hear from Clear, and let's hear what Clear has to say in the pit lane.
All right, well, I'm standing here with Jeffrey Kruger. Obviously, you guys weren't out in the first race for very long, and then you came back into the pits. Car is out on the track at the moment, looking fabulous.
Yeah, so we basically used the last race as a test session, and I think we found what the problem was. So I did a few laps, about 15, and there was no issue. So at that point, I think we knew that we will be in good shape for this race. So yeah, as it stands now, we're leading, which is good. But obviously, we don't want to count our chickens before they hatch yet. But yeah, it's looking okay. Pace is good. I think visibility is going to be quite tricky. Rian has already come on the radio and said he's struggling a little bit. So yeah, no, it's just to bring it home now and see what we can do.
What was the problem, if you want to tell us or not? I don't know.
It was some parameters that were just a bit too close, I think. So we just moved the one a little bit lower, which was actually, it was an oil pressure alarm. So it kept on cutting the car out when the oil pressure dropped a little bit. So we moved it a little bit lower, and it seems to be operating well within that threshold now. So let's see.
Are we expecting a pit stop soon?
I think in the next hour we should stop, and then I'll bring it home.
All right, perfect, great. Congratulations. Well, good luck. Not congratulations just yet. It's going to happen, though.
Optimistic thinking. I like it.
No, it's going to happen. We are putting it into the universe.
That's it. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey Kruger.
That was Jeffrey Kruger, who will no doubt be watching the timing board as Mikhail Patamba sneaks into second position and keeps on charging. There is your leader. There is Steve Clark, and Mikhail Patamba now on just about to be on the same lap as Rian Botma. Rian Botma doing a 101, so he's dropped the hammer now as well. His team has clearly told him, you've got to pick up the pace, my friend. So Rian Botma pushing very hard at this stage as he gets past Steve Clark and laps Steve Clark. Rian Botma over there definitely on a charge at this stage. Crossed the line with a 101.929. That's about as fast as that car's going to go. And Mikhail Patamba with a 1:00. The gap still 1 lap down, just under a lap, I would imagine. But Mikhail Patamba starting from the back of the grid Hey, Steve, I'm not mistaken, he was right at the back, wasn't he?
He was right at the back, that behind everyone, and still had to try and make up some of the ground. He got boxed in when he had a fantastic start, struggled to get by some of the Class E's, and so far doing a fantastic job. Every lap he's made it count, every single lap. Not to get caught up behind too much traffic, but to keep the pressure on. He knows that he's catching Rian Boschma, and you know the teams are starting to try and figure out what's going to be the best thing. Now, the only thing that is going through my mind, if Rian pits, will Patamba join, or will he go one extra lap? This is where it starts coming in. How are they going to react when the pit starts coming to play? Steve Clark is in third place. He's a little bit down. He's 12 seconds behind Patamba. I mean, let's talk about this. The Legia is a purpose-built endurance car made overseas and is incredibly quick. Then you've got a car that's built here on our own shores, also built for endurance and doing a little bit of the Martin magic, and Steve Clark along with Mike McLaughlin going and sorting this car out. It has been years and years of work to build this car up to what it is today, and it's going and fighting against two cars that were built overseas as customer endurance cars. That brings a little bit of pride to us South Africans, I won't lie.
Yeah, these cars are built, of course, by the legends, the Martin family over there, of course, having won Daytona, partnered with none other than Saro Faramava. I'm sure they've got plenty experience in endurance racing, and that's what they bring over here. Just a quick look over at the comment sections. Gecko ADZ, one of our most busy commenters over there. I'm the commentator, so he's a commenter. He asks if Steve and Mike are in the same car as earlier. Yes, they are. It looks like exactly the same car. I'd love to know what's wrong with that car in race 1. And he asks the same question. He also says that he can watch the whole race now, and he wants to know if he's asking too many questions. No such thing, Gecko, no such thing. Keep those questions coming. Keep those comments coming. We love to see it. And also, shout out to Cape Town, Mitchell's Plain. We've got Uncle Sopas over there watching the racing in Cape Town, Mitchell's Plain. So big shout out to him as well. Plenty people from all over the country, all over the world watching the stream at the moment. So let's keep those comments coming, folks. And let's stay on the stream. You can catch us on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, if you are in the Port Elizabeth area, Kibera area, go check out all those Scribanti, because once the racing ends, the party, folks. And of course, there are live acts playing through the course of the night. But back to the action. Here we go. Once again, it is of course the Spring Motorsport Festival. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Steven Koenig and Kriya Gangia in the pits. And let's see what the standings say at the moment. At the moment, it says that Rian Botma is still your leader. Mikael Patamba is second. Steve Clark, we see on your screen over there, in third place. And I'm waiting for that gap to come down as Rian Botma quickly starts to drop the hammer and sets his fastest lap time, 101.889. But Mikael Patamba still on the charge with his last time, almost as fast as his best time. So Mikael Patamba does it again with a 100.3. So 100.3 for Mikael Patamba. That's 1.5 seconds faster than Rian Botma. And the gap now down to 50 seconds, Steve. This is going to be a close one heading into the 30-minute mark. Still got 2.5 hours to go. And I do think that Mikael Patamba is well on his way. That is Kwanda Mokoena on your screen over there in 7th position, an uncharacteristically low 7th position, but still second in Class C.
You said it. And also, Kwanda Mokoena is coming back from the back of the field after having that severe puncture. I mean, that's one of the worst punctures we've seen this season. I don't know what went on with that tire, but it was torn to pieces. He managed to get it back. But just taking a look, Donnie van Niekerk is in 5th place. He's first of the Class Ds. But in 6th place is first of our Class Es, Benjamin Morgenrud. And then you've got Kwanda Mokoena in Class C. 8th place is Rudy Barnard. But one person that we have to remember that was first to the Class E's Bernard Pretorius is down in 9th place, so he's 3rd in the Class E's at the moment. That can change, though.
Yeah, anything can change in motorsport, Steve. Anything can happen, and that's exactly why we're here to watch it, because we've seen it happen before today. We've seen races won and lost in moments' notice. So this is just one of those things. That's why we stay tuned. That's why we stay hooked to our screens, because we want to know what happens next. And what is going to happen next is Mikhail Patemba might close that gap. We saw the gap at 50 seconds earlier on, but that gap might drop as the drivers make their way around for one more lap. Juan Maquena across the line. Benjamin Morgan does the same, currently leading off Class E. He is quite a far way ahead of Rudy Barnard, who is second in Class E, and quite a far way down. We're waiting for that classification to see. Baden Pretorius third in Class E. Dani van Niekerk looking good with first in Class D and fifth overall. So there goes one of the Legiers, and the gap now between Mikhail Patemba and Rian Botma still quite extensive. There goes Mikhail Patemba, and you can see, is that, that looks like Rian Botma over there. Yeah, that looks like Botma over there, and I think you've got to just make a note of that. That's the purple light on Botma's car. Looks like he's a bit stuck behind the Porsche of Tavares, so Botma's going to try and get past as quickly as possible. Tavares holds him up some more, and that is not good for Rian Botma, because once Patemba crosses the line, we're going to know exactly how far back he is. The gap's still quite substantial, though, between Patemba and Rian Botma. It hasn't closed down that much at this stage. It still says one lap. So we're waiting to see who crosses the line. And nope, that's the number 3 car. That is Patemba there. So Patemba getting held up by Tavares in the Porsche. So Patemba getting held up by Tavares. So the gap has now extended to 52 seconds. So Patemba not going to be happy about that. A very slow lap there from him. And he will now be held up another 52 seconds. Further back, the race between Rudy and Barent continues with a 9-second gap between those two Class E cars. So a 9-second gap between Barent and the pace car's out. We've got a safety car out on circuit. The safety car's out on circuit. I wonder why. Steve, did I miss something? Did you see something I didn't?
I saw on the main straight there was lights, but I don't know which car it was that was parked off on the corner. But that's probably why Patemba wasn't getting past Tavares. He wasn't going and trying to get, wasn't going to put the hammer down, because he knows safety car conditions. You can't overtake unless you get told you can. That's unless you get waved by the officials. So he actually backed out a bit, waiting. So I think possibly he saw an incident happen, and now it's just all about keeping it going. But a safety car thrown into the mix for this 3-hour race. If I was in the Botma car, I would be sweating at this point.
Mikhail Patemba has just crossed the line, Stevie. Mikhail Patemba has just crossed the line, and he is going flat out around the back end of the circuit now to try and catch up to that safety car. So Mikhail Patemba is going as fast as he can go to try and get behind that safety car. The safety car lets by a couple of cars there and goes off the circuit. Here is the actual safety car here. He's going to try and pick up the leader, I'm sure. But now, what is the situation at this stage? All the drivers going quite slowly, so we've still got a virtual safety car situation, looks like it at this stage. A little bit of confusion out there on the circuit, but the big winner here is going to be Mikhail Patemba, who will no doubt be flying. And there you see some of the cars making their way through the final corner, pushing very, very hard. That's Morgenrud coming through now. There's Mikhail Patemba, and Mikhail Patemba is not slowing down at all at this stage. He's trying to catch up to that trail and to the tail end of this group of cars, and when he does, we've got ourselves the race, ladies and gentlemen. Just 30 minutes down, and we already see that Mikhail Patemba is now back on the lead lap at 40 seconds down. This is turning out to be quite an exciting race for the lead between these two Legiers. This is what we've come to see today. We wanted to see these cars battle it out, and although it is such a pity that Hill and Michael Stephen are not on the grid today, it is fantastic to see these cars racing over here. And here comes the safety car now. He's supposed to pick up Rian Botma, but it doesn't look like he is. It looks like he's picking up the rest of the field. So this is a bit of confusion going on here. The safety car is picking up the rest of the field, letting them through. He's waving them through. So Rian Botma will then come up behind the safety car, and then he will be the leader that will be picked up. So the safety car is waiting. It's a game of chess at this stage, and I'm sure Mikael Patamba's team is saying, go, go, go. Let's get you back behind the safety car as quickly as possible. A little bit of pandemonium out there between the safety car and the rest of the cars. But I'm not quite sure why. We can understand why this is happening. I wonder if Kriya can give us some insights as to what's happening out there on the circuit. We'd love to let the rest of the audience know.
It looks like whatever it is, there was a car stopped on the left-hand side of the circuit. You can see the medical car has stopped. They did go and check on something. They've also been using that car to help tow cars off the circuit a little bit earlier. So they're doing a bit of work there. That incident is on the right-hand side. So that medical car just parked off to the side there. You can see it looks like they are trying to move something behind. It looks like, so one of the cars is stopped. That's on the main straight.
Yeah.
And that is
I don't think it's
Super Cup. Look at the shape.
Oh, I think you
Look
might
at
be right. So
the shape. It's a Super Cup.
I think it could be the Besaidenout car. It could be the Besaidenout car on that lap over there, but we're going to have to wait and see. I think that's Besaidenout. Clinton Besaidenout in the car. Craig Zhang comes across the line. Vicky Lolamisa does the same. Barden comes through. Steve Clark as well. Yeah, Clinton Besaidenout. Paether comes through. So Paether's through. That is confirmed. The Clinton Besaidenout car. The rest of the field across the line as well. Andrew Horn, Benjamin Morgan, Mikael Patamba comes through just 20 seconds behind Rian Botma. So this race is really starting to hot up now, and that's the Clinton Besaidenout car. The car's been quite slow over the course of this race, and there's your leader. But just behind him is the rest of the field, and there in the distance with the purple light is Mikael Patamba. Now the gap is going to be absolutely negligible. The big problem that he does face, though, is that he's got a slew of cars between him and the leader. But time-wise, this could not have worked out any better for Mikael Patamba.
This is going to turn the race on its head, and we're going to have two Ligiers duking it out. And I don't know what to say at this point other than grab your popcorn. This is going to be a sprint race of a 3 hour with only 2 hours and 23 3 minutes left. It's going to be a race to end.
Well, Steve, I don't know if you've tried commentating with popcorn, but it's not easy. You always look in your mouth. We got cameras that run at any second on us. And then I've got as well. So, but the rest of the folks, because safety all out there. We're just waiting for the car to pull in. But let's look at the gaps here, Stevie. We've got an 8-second gap between leaders. Botma Kruger, Mikael got 8 seconds between them. Botma Kruger's gone into the pits. So Botma got into a master stroke of a move, and that leaves Patamba out on the circuit. So Mikael Patamba is officially your winner, ladies and gentlemen, and Rian Botma has handed over the keys to incredibly fast. Jeffrey Kruger further down the Verissimo Tavares and Danny Van separated by less than a second. Benjamin Morgenroth is just in front of Kwanda Makwena, and the Class E battle rages on, of course, as it always has, with Rudy Barnard, who's second in Class E, with third place man Baden Pretorius in the 262 car, who's found fantastic success this weekend in third position, just 1.3 seconds back. So the race 4 position will be between Rudy and Baden Pretorius. So if we can catch onto that, the 262 car and the 42 car, Rudy, of course, partnered by the exceptionally competent championship winner in his teammate, the 42 car over there. So let's see how that battle ensued. Rudy, though, no slouch on his own in that car. So Rudy will be taking on, Rudy partnered with Mackie Adlam, of course. He will be taking on that Baden Pretorius car, the two of them just 1.3 seconds apart. Further back is Mr. Paether, Toyota Vice President, Toyota South Africa Vice President. Funny story, Steve, I just chatted to the Vice President of Toyota in the week, Mr. Andrew Kirby, about the incredible feat of getting that factory back up and running after it was in water up to 1.5 meters deep water and mud. Of course, the big floods in Durban, you might have heard of that. That factory was completely underwater, and the team at Toyota, led by guys such as Mr. Paether over there, making sure that that factory got back up and running, and the rest of us can start ordering those Hiluxes again.
It's honestly amazing, and it really shows the tenacity of everyone to get things up and going and start trying to get some money back into or get the economy flowing. But also it's nice to see the guys going and jumping into these cars and having a bit of fun in the SAES. And what better way and welcome the VP of Toyota, maybe get Toyota's racing in the SAES a little bit later on. It is a possibility. We might see a Toyota 86 start arriving modified to fit into the class. But
there comes
wow.
Botma at the back there. Botma's at the back now, one lap down on the Patamba car over there. So Rian has quickly made his way around the circuit. But now, I think Jeffrey Kruger might be behind the wheel. We're going to have to wait and see once they cross the line. Luckily, our transponder system, unlike the first race, remember the first race? I think you might not have been there. I think I was alone that time. But transponders now showing which driver is behind the wheel, so it's a lot less confusing for all of us watching as Mikhail Patamba leads us off. Ladies and gentlemen, there goes your leader officially. Mikhail Patamba leads this race with an incredible turn of events, but he's now probably got Jeffrey Kruger behind the wheel to contend with. There he goes across the line. We have green flag racing as the drivers make their way through. And according to our computer, it's still Botma behind the wheel. Maybe it was just a splash and dash. But we still only got 41 minutes of racing left. Mikhail Patamba is now quickly going to try and get his way past these slower backdraft cars. And the action is absolutely thick and fast at this stage. These guys are so close to one another. It's incredibly tight stuff now. And this is not actually racing for position. They're just trying to get through. Oh my goodness me. Mikhail Patamba is threading the needle over here as the screen goes a little bit dark over there. Back to the action we got. Not sure who's who in the zoo here, but some of these drivers have really got to take it easy over here. Steve Clark now finds himself in second position. Verissimo Tavares finds himself in third. And as mentioned by his team earlier on, the very fast Dani van Niekerk in the 69 car finds himself in fifth position, I apologize, as we wait for the classifications to come correct here. Our classifications board has been completely confused by what's been going on here. And there goes Mikhail Patamba, your leader, now into first position.
Patamba was told one thing at the restart: bury that throttle down as low as it can go, and let's start pulling a gap away from everyone. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to get away from Rian Botma as quick as possible. There's 7 seconds on the pass, so 7.1 seconds between them, and now it is all on the cards for these guys to try and move up. It's going to be close. We've got 2 hours and 16 minutes, but we have got Kriya down in the pits to give us a little bit more information on what's happening there in the dark.
Yes, guys, I know you did want an update on that Creative Inc. car. It was Besaid that was stopped off on the side of the road. I just had a chat to Dungar, who's obviously standing here in the pits. They don't know exactly what's wrong, but it seems that they have popped that engine. It's an unfortunate weekend for them. They have really been struggling with that car, and they really wanted to get some drive time in. So it's an unfortunate end to the race for them.
An unfortunate turn of events. Oh man, what a pity. What a pity as we now get eyes on our race leader over there. That is Mikhail Patamba, and finding himself ill of the exceptionally fast car. A car that hasn't quite lived up to its potential of late just due to reliability problems. They've always been fast, Stevie, but that car, the one that he's in now, of course, Adcock and Jensen with incredible international experience. All three of these drivers now bringing with them international experience, and unfortunately not able to produce the results that they so badly want and so badly are capable of as the rear disc glow through that final turn. Now with the young Patamba behind the wheel, find themselves in the lead of this race, but it's still early days, and we've seen this happen before, so I'm not going to try and curse this one. But man, oh man, it is looking good for Team Patamba, for his teammates over there. Of course, as mentioned, Adcock and Jensen, it's looking good out there for them.
Well, looking at it, Patamba going and doing a sub 1 minute, a 59.947 on that last lap. So he's not leaving anything on the table. But as you said, the car has had some reliability issues. But I just want to point out as well, in this 3-hour race, the first part of the 3-hour race, we saw, unfortunately, the Lamborghini Gallardo go and blow its engine to pieces in the exact same spot that we've just seen the Bezuidenhout car have its engine collapse on it. And that shows you how much strain the mechanical parts go through in an endurance race. You know, you're revving it far beyond what it was originally built for. It was then modified to make it rev to such an extent, 7,800 RPM, 6,400 RPM before you're changing gears. Everything has a point where it has to give. Patamba, once again, sub 1 minute, 59.3. He's not slowing down. I bet you we're going to see a 58 out of that car. But this is what endurance is. It's all about surviving the entire race. And it's a challenging thing. And this is why I love it, because you don't know who's going to get it. The fastest car can give out. The slowest car can win. There is so many different conditions of what can happen in an endurance race that I'm yet to find a person that can tell me who's going to win.
Yeah. It's often the case of the walking wounded, and that's why when we said we were going to have 2 3-hour races, I was quite surprised, because that's a long time to be racing. 6 hours is long enough, but even if you split it up into 2, 2 3-hour races is a very long time to be circulating around the same circuit. So these guys really are proving to be quite reliable. Lots of attrition demonstrated, and the screen on my side's gone a little bit static. There we go, we're back in the action. And we've got a shout out over here on the live stream on YouTube. Ula Barlow, obviously connected to Rico Barlow. Team RBR, they are part of that aid call car with Adcock and Jensen, and of course Patamba. She says, go Team RBR. Patamba is driving brilliantly behind our team all the way. Rico Barlow, of course, part of that team over there. Jesse Huggett also. Jesse, incidentally, one of the most winningest champions in South African motorsport, being a stock car legend down in Cape Town. And they are all part of the same team. And now finally that team starting to get the results, at least starting to get this part of the race results. It's a long way to go. I'm trying not to jinx it, Steve. I'm trying hard not to talk, soos hulle sê in Afrikaans, my mond verby te praat. I'm trying not to do that at the moment. But yeah, it's still early days.
Well, as you said, it is so early days for it, and as we suffer from commentators curse. For anyone that doesn't know what commentators curse, let's put it out there. We do, and that's why Kriya sometimes gets feared in the pits, because when she arrives and talks to you, you've got to be alert, because something has been picked up by our reporter on the ground. But what I've seen today has been some incredible racing, and mechanics, teams, families, everyone getting stuck in, working on the cars, trying to get them going, making sure that they can survive. Whether in the GT, the SAGT or the SAS, you will have family members leaning in, helping, passing tools around, getting something to drink for everyone. Little parts. It's not about the driver, it's not about the engineer that can put it together, but the support from everyone around, even spectators going and having a chat to the guys and finding out more, even maybe passing on a little bit of advice that they've learned. Sometimes we do have some old mechanics around, and it's amazing to see what the SAS and the SAGT have built as a series, and the community that's starting to grow. We've even seen it here in the comment section from Facebook, YouTube, and even getting WhatsApps from everyone. It's fantastic.
Yeah, indeed. My phone also a couple of WhatsApp coming through every now and then for people enjoying the stream. But back to the action we go. Of course, this is the South African Endurance Series. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Stephen Koenig, all the way in Johannesburg. I'm all the way down here in Cape Town, if you can believe it. And we've got Kriya on the ground there, continuing to enjoy the action from up close and personal. And if there does sound like there's a hint of jealousy in my voice, it's because there is. Riaan Botma in second position at the moment with a 1 minute dead. So Riaan Botma, 16 seconds behind Mikael Patamba, has picked up the pace ever so slightly. And my transponder system over here still says that that is Botma, in fact, behind the wheel. So, excuse me, so Riaan Botma and Mikael Patamba on the same lead lap. With Steve Clark just a little bit further down in Class C. Verissimo Tavares also in Class A, leads off third place in Class A. Dani van Niekerk in fifth position, that's first of the Class D cars. Kwana Mokoena just behind him. Benjamin Morgenroot leads off the Class E challenge of Rudy Barnard in the 42 car over there. So Benjamin Morgenroot still in first place in Class E. There goes Tavares now in Class A. Oh, gets the door closed on him by what looks like, that looks like the 11 car over there for Kilo Olamisa. Gets the door closed firmly. Just look at how cool the back of that Porsche looks over there as he goes through the hanger sweep. And here comes our leader, Mikael Patamba, with that characteristic purple light. I think that's him. I stand to be corrected. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, that is a Ligier, and I think the purple one is Mikael Patamba, if I'm not mistaken. And Rudy Barnard just sets his fastest lap of the race so far, but Morgenroot is keeping him honest, both of them running in the low 109s. So Rudy Barnard trying to catch up with Ben Morgenroot in Class E. And Mr. Pater over there looking good in fourth place in Class E. That's obviously, as mentioned earlier, the Vice President of Toyota racing with us today. Quite an interesting turn of events. Andrew Horn in the 007 car looking good just behind him. One lap down on lap number 39 for Kilo Olamisa. Just behind that, Craig Zank, unfortunately, looks like he's way down the order. So I don't think he's still circulating in that 7-11 backdraft Cobra. There goes the 8-core car of Mikael Patamba. Mikael Patamba has slowed down quite substantially now at this stage, doing 103s at the moment, but he is in the lead, so that means that they can take it a little bit easy. Those brakes still glowing though, and Mikael Patamba has slowed down the pace. And what this does, Steve, is that you kind of want the car behind you to be pushing the pace and to be chasing you down, because we've seen these cars not be the most reliable. So to have Riaan Botma pushing hard like he is now, setting his fastest lap time with a 1:00.6, you know, that means that they are pushing that car on the absolute limit. And that means Mikael Patamba does the same now. He flies with a 1:00.3. So that means that they have to push that car. That means that they're trying to catch him. And that put Mikael Patamba in a very advantageous position. We wait for Botma to cross the line to check what that gap looks like once again. But it should stay about the same. Mikael Patamba managing to get slightly faster than Botma. 22 seconds, the gap now between our two lead cars.
Well, it's one thing to point out, as you said, it's very advantageous, but the other thing is you think about the more that you push, the more fuel you're using, the more that you're hammering those tires, which means grip starts becoming a factor towards the end of the race. Fuel starts becoming a factor, and we saw it earlier today where fuel became a factor. We saw the Angels car, the Auto House Angels, unfortunately running out of fuel because of a miscalculation, and that's so easy to do because you calculated your average per lap, and these guys have done the exact same thing. So they're running exactly what's needed, nothing more, nothing less. And all that you have to do, like when you're driving down the highway, use 0.1 or 0.3 more than what your average is. That fuel light's going to come on, and by the time it comes on, it's a little bit too late.
Yeah, too little, too late, as they say. And we saw that early on, in case you missed it, in the SAGT race early on, the two Ferraris, the one lead Ferrari stopping within stone throw distance of his teammate, both of them running out of fuel there. I mean, what are the chances of that happening? And they were doing so well, as I said, leading the race, and both cars running out of fuel at almost exactly the same spot. So a massive miscalculation. But it also shows how accurate these cars' fuel prediction systems are, because both of them running out of fuel at the same spot, Steve.
That's it, and you know, that's the fine little calculations that the teams do to try and make sure that they are set up and ready. As we take a look at the Botma Ligier making their way around, that Ligier JS53 Evo 2, which is one of the later Ligiers that have been built and currently being run overseas in an entire series by itself. The Ligiers, you have an entire field of 30 cars exactly like this. Customer built cars, also built to do lots of endurance racing. Guys really have a bit of fun with it. It is awesome to see what goes on. And, you know, just finding out here that Aiden Carbon Car had a engine management issue. So we heard about it having a little bit of a oil pressure issue. Was the sensor was a little bit too sensitive. They went and dropped it down a bit. Now it's a little bit more comfortable. It's not going and trying to go into a safe mode essentially to protect the engine from further damage. Glad to see that little bit of tinkering there. They got the absolutely amazing. Do apologize for that, a little bit of technical issues, but Tamba out the way. And yeah, looks like we had a bit of a glitch here. It seems like the Feltman Towers took a bit of a hit from all the load shedding. Rian Butma in second place, but just a couple of the backdraft cars really showing around. Morgan Rude having a ton of fun out there, and currently first of the Class E, 7th place, going after Kwanda Mukena, who's in 6th place. But I've got to take my hat off to Kwanda Mukena from having the puncture, moving up into 6th place. He's on a charge, he's looking to try and maximize the points, but his target, Tavares, is just ahead. There's Dani van Niekerk in 5th place. That's in between the two. So once he dispatches Dani, he can go after the Porsche of Tavares.
Yep, Porsche of Tavares is out on circuit fast as always and currently running in 4th position, just ahead of Dani van Niekerk, only 8 seconds ahead of Dani, and Dani looking so fast out there, setting a similar time, and they're on track now. We see the gaggle of cars huddled together over there. It must be so difficult out there, such tricky conditions. Dani van Niekerk, as I said, looking so good. Behind that, Kwanda Mokoena, 4 seconds a lap faster than Dani, so Kwanda should start catching him pretty soon once he's able to get back on that same lap, which he just did now. So Kwanda Mokoena, 4 seconds, but look at how closely gathered together these cars are. So Ben Morgan, who just set the fastest lap time in Class E, well, at least for him, just a little bit slower than Rudy Barnard, who's looking very good out there as well. And Steve Clark just crosses the line, stays in 3rd position. And here comes Ben Morgan with the blue lights gone missing. Purple lights over there, of course, is Mikhail Patamba. And further back, we see the Botma Kruger car with Botma currently behind the wheel. There goes Kwanda Mokoena, breaks the blaze. Kwanda Mokoena, as mentioned earlier, is on a charge back, 2nd in Class C at the moment. He said that Chop Sapuka is not feeling 100% at the moment. They're hoping that when he does feel better, he can pass the car over to his uncle. But we saw earlier on Mokoena driving for over 2 hours in race 1. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to have much issue doing the same for this race. We've still got 2 hours to go, though. It's only 1 hour down on the second of 3-hour races in Port Elizabeth as we look at the night sky. And the drivers make their way down. Kwano Mokoena gets past Dani van Niekerk over there. Dani lighting up those front brakes and still looking quite fast. Gets past Fikile and Olomisa over there. Fikile Olomisa in the Class E car, the number 11 car. Dani van Niekerk staying with that Audi. But Dani is chasing down Tavares. And at the moment, he's about a second a lap faster, about half a second a lap faster than Tavares. So we can look forward to Dani getting within striking distance of a Porsche in a Polo.
It's going to be absolutely incredible. And now you've got Kwano Mokoena, who has got his eyes firmly set. We heard him say, we want that Porsche. And that was in the first 3 hours. Now it's the second one. We spoke to him again. I want that Porsche. He has a chance now. Dani's behind him. Now the focus is there. But take a look at that Super Cup Polo. Is absolutely amazing, and the spotlights are definitely working. You can see everything, including the future. But it does look like we got Alicia in the pits.
We've got Alicia in the pits. Maybe a scheduled pit stop. We'll have to wait and see. But I think Dani van Niekerk, there goes Patamba. That's Patamba going through there. Dani van Niekerk definitely made a stop at Midas to fit some extra lights on the front of that freaking Polo, man. Those lights aren't standard lights for the looks of things, bro.
No, it's the same lights that you would find on the Rangers, or you go and find on all the guys. The 4x4 enthusiasts will have those spotlights. And as you can see, it just lights up the way. That I just want to point out, those spotlights are better than the lights on the GT3 cars, and they are able to see everything.
It really does look like it. As we go back to the standings over there, look, there goes Dani over there in that very fast Polo Super Cup car, and makes his way down the main straight, still behind the wheel, still after an hour's race. He hasn't changed over to Franco Senior or Franco Junior, his teammates. So Dani's at the moment running the gauntlet on his own for the first hour of this race. Still 2 hours to go as Rudy Barnard comes across the start-finish line over there. Mikael Patamba still leads us off with the best time of last time of 101. And now we're looking for Botma, who was in the pits, and Botma is down the order now in 6th position. So Steve, things have changed around quite a bit now. The threat from Mikael Patamba, which was the Rian Botma car, is now all the way down in 6th position. And now Mikael Patamba is the only car that's circulating with that kind of pace. This is looking very good for the young driver.
Well, you can see that the Leisure is still in the pits there. You can just see it, lights ablaze. They're looking around the car. There's not too much frantic movement going on from what I can see. Hopefully Kriya can go and take a look and find out what exactly has gone on with that car. But my heart goes out to them if something has run awry on that Leisure. It hasn't been their race. But one person that's currently loving the drive, Patamba, and I can't get over how well he's just got to grips with this car. And I think once he pulls in the pits and hands over the car, they're going to have to drag him out because he won't want to stop.
Now, who would though? Who would want to stop? If he's driving at the pace that he's driving now and he keeps doing this, he should be just fine. Once again, we look at the Van Niekerk car, but Mikael Patamba is in a league of his own at the moment. He slowed down the pace completely to a 104, which puts him on the same pace as Kwano Mokoena, his next rival, who is way down the order, 3 laps down. So they are now circulating at 104. Rian Botma still in the pits on lap 52. So Mikael Patamba has separated himself from Botma by 6 laps, Steve. 6 laps. Earlier on, they were just seconds apart. He just overtook him a little bit while ago, and now he's 6 laps ahead of that Botma car. Jeffrey Kruger must not be happy about this, and neither must Rian Botma.
And that is totally true. And
Here they come
honestly,
out the pits now. They come out the pits now, Stevie. Just saw the lights coming out the pits.
oh man, and it's going to be interesting. So we're just going to keep an eye out, but that's definitely the Botma's car. Yeah, it's got that orange light.
Yes, that is the Ligier. We just hopefully our producers can just keep this camera angle as it is here, and if we wait just a little bit longer, we'll see the car coming through. That looks like a Ligier. Yes, it is, and that looks like that could be the Botma car over there. And if that is him, that means that he's back in the running. The Kalptam has just crossed the line now, so that is definitely Rian Botma over there. But who is behind the wheel of that car? It does seem like it's time for a pit stop. 2 hours to go with 1 hour and 5 minutes about done. So we'll have to see. Verissimo Tavares crosses the line in 4th position. You've got a Class A car leading, separated by 2 Class C cars, and then Tavares, Dani van Niekerk in Class D across the line goes as well. And very shortly, we should see the other Ligier crossing the line as our cameraman gets... Oh, is that Dani? That looks like Van Niekerk running a little bit wide there. That looks like Van Niekerk running a little bit wide, but no damage. Dani van Niekerk runs ever so slightly wide. It did look like he got into a tussle with another car there. Not quite sure which one though, but Van Niekerk ran ever so slightly wide, and there goes one of the Ligiers. Shoot, that is definitely the second of the Ligiers over there. That's Botma's car, but Jeffrey Kruger now behind the wheel. Jeffrey Kruger now behind the wheel. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the charge that we've been waiting for. Sometimes you've got to send in your fastest driver. And I think I'm not insulting Botma by saying that Jeffrey Kruger is exceptionally fast. But what can he do against Patambo, who has now found himself on lap number 60? Jeffrey Kruger on lap number 54. We're waiting for Kriya in the pits. And we've got Kriya in the pits giving us the update. And just waiting for Kriya to get into position, to get the audio going over there. It's dark out there, so we need Kriya to shed some light on the situation. And we've got Jeffrey Kruger on lap 54, 6 laps down at the moment. And that's a familiar story for the team over there, because often we've seen that. Kriya is back. Kriya, are you ready to shed some light on the situation?
Yes, the first light I need to shed is, Ernest, that was the most horrible dad joke ever in the entire world. Like, I mean, really. The second bit of light that I have to shed on the situation is the fact that I'm standing here with Rian Botma. Rian, that was a very long pit stop. What happened?
Yes, Kriya. So, yesterday we battled, and then we picked up the car and it came alive, gave us pole. And then we started well, leading the race, and then from about the 6th lap, it started cutting out in the fast corners. The same problem we had at East London. And I came in, we found a short and a wire. That wasn't the problem. So we didn't complete the first race. Jeffrey went in and out the last few laps of the first race. And we thought we had the problem, and I went out, and I think about lap 20, 22 it started again. So we don't know what the problem is.
The car's been giving you guys quite a bit of trouble. This is not the first time that we're seeing these issues.
Yeah, if we could just find it. I mean, we put different motors in there that's doing the same. So we really don't know. It must be an electrical problem. We can't find it. Well, it's back to the drawing board, see what we can do.
Maybe Ernest can help shed some light on the situation.
Yeah.
But I do have one more question. Jeffrey's now putting in some fantastic times out there. What is the chances of us clawing back at this?
Yeah, I doubt if it's going to last. It does the same thing every time. We come in, the car cools down. It does fantastic laps for about 5 or 10 laps, and then it happens again. So I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Well, best of luck for the rest of the evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is that enough light for you, Ernest?
Oh, yes, always. I need as much as I can get. It's dark out there. And Jeffrey Kruger, unfortunately, doesn't matter who's driving that car now. It doesn't seem to matter. You can just see the disappointment in the eyes of his teammate Rian Botma over there. And what a pity, what a shame that they've got the package underneath them, but they just can't seem to get it right. And the motorsport gods can be cruel sometimes, Steve. And this time they haven't shone down on these guys for quite some time. because, yeah, they've had these niggly little issues for this season all the time, it seems.
You're completely right on that, and maybe it's something to look into of pushing the motor a little bit too hard. Maybe you need to look at detuning it. It's going to hurt the power a little bit, but maybe it's just gone beyond its threshold. In both of the motors, maybe a different motor would help. Move away from the one brand into another. The Ligiers do come with a Peugeot engine or a Honda engine, but I don't know. My heart goes out to them every single time they're running into a thing. But I just want to say, if we're talking about dad jokes, can I get in on the party here, or
Oh my
am I
God,
gonna?
you are the worst when it comes to dad jokes. We know that. So I think I'm not sure the audience is going to enjoy that for much longer. But let's each get about 2 or 3. Kriya's already spoken about jewelry, so I think the two of us can at least get a couple of dad jokes in the mix there. Just incidentally, we've got Jeffrey Kruger out there at the moment has just set his fastest lap time of a 58.437. So Kruger on the charge at the moment, but we've seen this before. I'm not going to get my hopes up over here. We've seen this car, as Botma mentioned, on incredible charges, but just not able to maintain that charge over the course of a long stint.
It's as I said, it's a grenade motor. It either works or it's going to fail. And they've run through every single niggle. But what this tells me is next season, they've gone through every single niggle. They know how to deal with it. And I believe the car's going to be it's going to be on point next season. That's for certain. But they have to get past the niggle phase. Everyone's got it at some point of their racing career. They've just got that little niggle, something in the car, just that odd quirk that is giving it the issues. But if you ever want to know what's the difference between Jeffrey Kruger's car and Patemba's car, they're exactly the same. The only way you can tell the difference is the Jeffrey Kruger Rian Botma car, other than its color in the daylight, it's got that yellow light on the roll bar, while Patemba and Adcock's car has got the purple LED strip on it to tell between the two. So for anyone that's getting a little bit confused by the Ligiers in the low light situations, just look for the lights. Oh man, hopefully Jeffrey Kruger can pull a rabbit out of the hat here. He's done a sub 1 minute on his last lap time. He did 58.6. But he's going to have to keep that pace up right the way through if he wants to get anywhere close to Patemba, who's up in first place. And as we know, maintaining this type of pace for so long can only hurt the engine, wear out the driver, or go and wear out the tires. Something has to give at some point.
Yeah, Jeffrey Kruger consistently did a 258 in a row, now 1 minute 9 with some traffic. We see Patemba doing 101s at the moment, so the gap, however, is so substantial at this stage, 6 laps, the difference between Mikhail Patemba and Jeffrey Kruger, but it's not even anywhere near over yet. We're not even at the halfway mark of this race, Steve-O. So we can very much look forward to things changing in either direction for either of these teams. Steve Clark still in second place. Kwanda Mokoena now in third position. Verissimo Tavares in fourth place. And Kwanda Mokoena is now within 21 seconds of Steve Clark. So let's have a look at that battle unfolding over here. We've got Jeffrey Kruger now coming up towards Morgan Root, about to take 6th position. So Jeffrey Kruger will take 6th position any second now. There goes Dani van Niekerk. Dani van Niekerk still behind the wheel of the 69 car. Jeffrey Kruger gets past him, but still, let's see what Verissimo Tavares and Dani van Niekerk, Kwanda Mokoena, who is chasing down Steve Clark, just 20 seconds behind second place, man. And that is for first place in Class C, Steve. Kwanda Mokoena just 20 seconds back on the Steve Clark car at this stage.
And also to check out there, Tavares and Mokoena are battling it out for the championship win for SAES. So every point counts at this point Tavares needs to push as hard as he can. Mokoena said he wanted to get ahead of the Porsche. He now has to chase down that backdraft slingshot, which seems to go a little bit slower now, doing a 106.2. So I don't know whether that's traffic or whether he's come off the throttle a little bit just to try and keep the car alive. It's going to be interesting, but now we're going to have a GT4 versus a backdraft slingshot, a prototype car that's one of two in the country that's been built by Tony Martin and now looking to do battle. This is going to be very, very interesting, and I'm sure that Steve Clark's being told you need to step up the game. That GT4 is starting to get a little bit too quick for our liking.
Well, he has stepped up the game. He's now set a 105.8 once again. His best time a 105.0. Conor Mokoena just ever so slightly with a faster car underneath him, though, just doing a 104. His best time a 103. So the gap now 18.4 seconds. We'll keep a close eye on that gap as the rest of this race unfolds. There goes Dani van Niekerk, the leading Class D. And we'll have to wait and see over the coming laps if Steve Clark is able to hold off the charging Kwanda Mokoena with 18 seconds in between them on the previous lap. They go through the dipper, now up over the hill, the high G section over there. You got to kind of bite down a little bit as they make their way towards the final quarter. Kwanda Mokoena is going to get past the Polar here, or is he? Yes, he does. And the gap was 18 seconds between him and Steve Clark as he makes his way towards the finish line. We're going to get that classification now. And currently the gap is 16 seconds. So he's managed to gain 2 seconds over there. And Dani van Niekerk still chasing down Verissimo Tavares. 22 seconds the gap between them. Benjamin Morgenroot further down in the lead of a Class E with Rudy Barnard falling quite a ways back at this stage. So Benjamin Morgenroot securing that first place in Class E for now. We saw them leading early on. It didn't quite go their way as Mikael Patamba crossed the line with a 102. And let's see what Jeffrey Kruger is doing. 59s at the moment. So Jeffrey Kruger is currently on lap 63, 7 laps behind, but charging very, very hard. If he keeps this pace up, Steve, he could do it over the course of 1 hour and 45 minutes.
He can do it. It's going to be close. And as you said, he's got to keep the pace up. But I'm just taking a look. Steve Clark, Kwanda Mokoena duking it out. Tavares also involved. Tavares, last time we were here at Aldo Scribanti, we had the two Latifrons in the car. But these three cars were battling it out for the lead the last time we were here at Aldo. So for Steve Clark and Mike McLaughlin, if they can finish up in second, which they are going to do everything they can to, it would be going and breaking the streak. Because last time they were here, they had a catastrophic failure on that slingshot and they weren't able to finish. But they were in first place. Now they're in second. But I'm just taking a look. Kwanda Mokoena is just going faster and faster every lap. Yeah. 1 minute, 3 seconds. Yeah, I start to wonder, did they, when they changed the tire, did they disconnect the brakes on the car as well? Because it's definitely not being used. He's just going through the corners on sheer downforce at this point.
103 is very fast for a GT4 car around the circuit. Bear in mind that some of the GT3 cars were only doing 1 minute 2s, 1 minute, and we got a car stricken on the side of the circuit there. Makes it into the pit lane. The light's not working anymore. But Kwanda Mokoena does a 103. The gap now only 8 seconds behind Steve Clark. So Steve Clark has got himself a GT4 Audi chasing him down. And what I'd like to know actually is if the restrictor on that Kwanda Mokoena car is still on, if the car is running the same spec as it did in the SAGT. Of course, very strict GT4 rules apply to SAGT, but not so much the SAES. Anything goes here, and you can run no restrictor plate, maybe a little bit extra horsepower under the bonnet there of that GT4 car. What do you think, Steve?
It is a possibility because I'm just looking at the car. Its times are definitely quicker than the last time he was here at Aldo, and he's really been putting in the effort. So either Kwanda's been putting in some serious practice, or that car has got a little bit more pace than it had before. But either way, Steve Clark is about to have a real big problem when he looks in his rearview mirrors and is going to see the 4 rings of an Audi chasing him down. And you really don't want to have this considering how close it's going to be to pit stops. 5.3 seconds. There is Andrew Horn going into the pits. He's probably going to be changing over to Colin Ellison and find out how their race is going. I'm going to actually try and see if there's any messages from the guys to give us a little bit of input of what went wrong with that car in the first 3 hours.
Kwanda Mokoena now getting to lap Verissimo Tavares over there in the Porsche. And Tavares, as mentioned, in the new spec Porsche, maybe still getting to grips with that car. They're definitely not as racy as they were in the previous iteration of this race. The last time they did much better in that car, also at Aldous Grabanti. Steve Clark now is well within the sights of Kwanda Mokoena. And I think we're going to see him come up towards the back of that slingshot any time now. Steve Clark just crossed the line moments ago. The lap times there, 106. The gap now under 5 seconds. So Kwanda Mokoena should see that backdrop. There he goes. There goes the backdrop up in the distance, just around the corner there. So Kwanda now, I'm sure, has the message in the intercom system. Time to get past that Steve Clark car, which will put him in second place, just behind Mikael Patamba, but still 4 laps down on Mikael Patamba. Jeffrey Kruger now was 7 laps down. Still very much 7 laps down, but consistently running at very fast pace. Now, he hasn't set a foot wrong since he got into the car, so maybe the problem is gone, Steve, but we can only hope. He's just at a 100, and his best time is 58 seconds. Unfortunately, when Botmeier had the car early on, they had some issues, but we hope that those issues are gone, because what we do want to see is the race to the finish between these two cars.
I think at the moment, Kwanda Mokoena has been told he's got a song playing in his head at the moment, and that is Hammer Time, as he chases down Steve Clark around Aldous Grabanti. Steve Clark getting told, right, time to get elbows out. We got to get into a fight here. 1 hour and 38 minutes to go. Second place on the line. It's all or nothing at this point to try and keep it together, because remember, the pit stops is going to change everything, and you want to maximize your advantage going into the pits.
Yeah, it's all about maximizing that advantage. And there is the backdraft slingshot now, as Kwanda Mokoena makes his way towards second place. Man, of course, this is for first place in Class C. So these cars are in direct competition with one another. And Kwanda Mokoena just sort of creeping up on the back of that backdraft slingshot. The slingshot can't do much at this stage but circulate at his own pace. Of course, you choose the pace that you go at, and sometimes you can go faster, but sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you're not going to make it if you do. And this time, though, it does seem like Kwanda Mokoena has got the better of that backdraft slingshot. He goes down the inside. The slingshot does nothing to defend, and there across the line they go. Steve Clark gets overtaken by Kwanda Mokoena to take the lead in Class C, and second overall. Mikael Patamba still leads this race, but Steve Clark is in third position, and Kwanda Mokoena in second place in Class C, second place overall, and first in Class C.
That's what you want for the championship. Second place means maximum points, and also first in his class, even better. It's going to be one race right down to the line. It is going to be interesting. It's all on the line, but it's not over yet. We cannot say for definite that these are the positions that's going to stay, because as we saw in the last race, when it came down to the last 20 minutes, it went completely different to what we thought, and left everyone here in the production, for the commentators, even Kriya down in the pits, speechless.
It's been an incredible performance from all of these drivers, but Kwanda Mokoena certainly has stood out over the course of the season and last. And now he finds himself looking very good here. Some aspirations of going overseas for Kwanda Mokoena, and now those aspirations seem to be becoming more and more possible as he starts to get the results. And not just about results, though. It's about time in the seat. And if anybody's got the most time in the seat over the course of a race weekend, I think it might be him. We've seen him do multiple races at a time. We've seen him do multiple 2-hour stints. And now, once again, he's still behind the wheel, an hour and a half into this race, and with no sign of slowing down, running a little bit wide there, but I think that might just be the line in there. No sign of slowing down for Kwanda Makwena as we now go to Kriya down in the pits. And Kriya, the light in my life. How are you
So
doing
I've
down there in the
managed
pits?
I've actually managed to find a solution to my lighting problem, and we're using the lights that are on the fuel pumps here in the pits. And I'm chatting to our current race leader. What a great stint from you tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, the team did an amazing job to get us back out there. It was absolutely incredible. I owe it all to them.
You're a very different person that I see now that I spoke to a little bit earlier. You're gleaming, you're glowing.
Yeah, because we're winning now.
Yeah. So what is it got to take it now to the end to win this stint, this race?
Michael, as long as he stays on the track, we'll win.
Okay,
yes,
that's the plan. Michael needs to stay on the track.
Yeah, the team did an amazing job. We just need to reward them with the win.
Shame. I think he's still a bit out of breath, still trying to grasp the fact that he had such an amazing run tonight. Mikhail, thank you so much for chatting to me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well done, Mikhail Patamba. Well done on that fantastic performance. And that's what you need as a young driver. You need to get those results. It's great for the confidence. Speaking of young drivers, I've got a friend of mine that got driver of the day in a rallycross event the other day. He's glowing a week later. And when it comes to, the early stages of your career, you're trying to build things up. A result like this for a young driver like that he is going to be bouncing for days to come because he deserves to do so. Mikhail Patamba put on an incredible performance from last to first within a couple of laps. Yes, he had the fastest car out there, but so did one of his major competitors, and he was able to get that lead. So Mikhail Patamba, enjoy the moment, drink it in. I know it's not over yet. You guys haven't won just yet, but your performance was a standout performance today. So enjoy the moment. And as he said, he's a different man now. I always say day at the racetrack is like a good week in real life. Well done, Mikhail Patamba.
Well, racing with Nick Adcock, you can be sure that Nick and them have taken a look and seen the talent that's there. They wouldn't just invite him for nothing. And maybe we might see Patamba in an LMP3 car. Don't know. Possibility. It's there.
It's definitely there, and the speed has been there. Best time of 59.3 for someone that doesn't have that much experience in this car. And also at night, Steve, lest we forget, he drove this car to a 59.3 second run at night. That's just under a second off Jeffrey Kruger's time, who's had so much time in a different car, same spec car. So Mikhail Patamba will have a look and see what his teammates are up to. The lights flashing on that car there, that's not good. Hopefully that's not an alternator issue that we've seen in the past from this car. I'm frowning my face over here because this is not what the team needs at the moment. The Jensen car out in front at the moment. The light's still staying on at this stage. But yeah, the last time of 104. Jensen now currently on track, and I don't think I've seen Jensen race much in South Africa. The last race he wasn't in the country, and he's back now and gets across the line with a 103. So he now needs to just circulate, keep the car out there. Kwanda Makwena also doing 103s, but 2 laps down. Steve Clark a further lap behind that. Jeffrey Kruger another 2 laps down. The gap was 7 laps to Jeffrey Kruger, and now that gap is about 4 laps. So Jeffrey Kruger has clawed 3 laps in his stint and is in the 1 minute range. So Jeffrey Kruger has not given up, not by a long shot, Steve.
It's not over until the fat lady sings, and unfortunately the fat lady is still going and ordering drinks at the bar at this point. 1 hour and 31 minutes to go, and it is all on the line. We're going to hit that halfway mark soon enough, and it is starting to... You just look at people in the pits, they're tired. And it's not over until 10 o'clock, but that's when the party only just starts, as we got live bands going and having a bit of fun out there, and I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. But this is what the series is all about, creating a festival every time we get to the circuit. And even to you guys at home, we would love to see what you guys are doing. So take selfies, go and tag us on saying watching the SAES. We want to see what you guys are doing and which cars you are supporting. I know we've got a couple of comments here. We've got Gecko, who's going and saying we've got to get to KZN and go see how it is at Daisy. and talking about the professionalism in the series is absolutely fantastic. So you guys as the spectators, thank you so much for sticking around, and don't go anywhere. If you want to top up those drinks, make sure that you turn the speakers up way up, because you don't want to miss any of the action, or order out and get someone to deliver it right to your seat in the house.
Exactly. I personally had delivery of sushi here at the office. Thanks to Audrey for that delivery earlier on. So I'm all sorted here. With drinks, not so much. I'm running sparkling water for the night. I don't want to be getting my Patambas and my Jensens confused here. So, and my Adcocks. So I'm going to be running on sparkling water for the rest of the night. But I did have a double espresso earlier on, thanks to the guys at ATK. And speaking of ATK, I'm at the ATK offices now. So a big shout out to the team at ATK for allowing me to use the offices here. As we see now the two cars battling on track. And for the first time, we're going to see these guys battle it out on track. There comes Jeffrey Kruger now. And he quickly gets past the aid call car over there. Jeffrey Kruger quickly dispatches of that car. And he's definitely got some pace underneath him. That's one lap down. Quite a few more to go. Jensen letting him by, no problems. There's a Jensen circulating at this stage. Push. No need to push at all. They've got 2 laps on second place, Kwanda Makwena. So they will be cruising around. But I'm sure once Adcock gets back in the car, it will be back down to dropping the hammer.
Now 4 laps. Oh, you've got to really put the hammer down. But Jeffrey Kruger is now 7 seconds behind Tavares, who's in 4th place, and we know you can make quick work of that Porsche. We've seen it before, but it's absolutely amazing to see the pace that Jeffrey Kruger's got in the Ligier, and making quick work of Jensen, just getting past him without a problem. As you mentioned, Jensen not putting up a fight. He knows that there's a gap and they don't have to stress just yet. But we do have Kriya down in the pits to give us a little bit more information. So Kriya, what's happening down there?
I'm standing here with Andrew Horan. You are in the 007 car, sir. What happened? Because oh, am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my bad. I was looking for you. My bad. Anyway, whilst you're here, how's it going?
I can't complain. Cars keeping together, and times are looking good.
Okay.
I don't know where we are on the grid, but all is looking well.
Okay. So who's in the car at the moment, Dad?
My father is.
And how's it going?
Very nice, very nice.
So you guys had a couple of issues earlier when I was chatting to Dad. How's the car performing now? Is it out? Everything's okay?
We just had lost the throttle cable for some reason. Put it back on. It's been keeping well since then.
Okay.
And yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna blame getting confused on the fact that it is late and we have been here. We're tired, right? Well, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Must enjoy your night further.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so there is Benjamin Morgenroot, one of the brothers, of course, Christian Morgenroot, his brother, and Ben Morgenroot Jr. out in the car at the moment. They are in Class E. Baron Pretorius right behind him, right in front of them at least. Baron Pretorius, the first place in Class C in the 262 car. But that pit stop now, they are just 1 lap down. So they are fighting for the win over here. As Baron Pretorius continues to circulate in the front of Class E. Mackie Adlam, though, watch out for him in the 42 car. We saw him sneak into the podium early on. Mackie Adlam now in the 3rd position in Class E. And there goes Ben Morgenroot now in the blue. Over there, yeah, that's the number 222 car. Over there, Bapu is in 10th position, just having set his fastest lap time. So Bapu still finding some pace as the race goes on. That's good to see. Mario De Souza just behind him, and Andrew Horn further back in the 007 car. Of course, your leader is still Jensen in the number 3 car. There goes the backdraft slingshot around the outside. It shows how much faster that car is. Kwanda Makwena in 2nd place, 2 laps down. Steve Clark on the same lap as Kwanda, just 2 seconds behind Mokoena now. So Steve Clark now getting back to within striking distance of Kwanda. So has Kwanda slowed down? Kwanda went into the pits there by the looks of things. A very slow lap there from him. So Kwanda Mokoena has just done a pit stop. And it looks like he's gone through the pits, but still in second place. Steve Clark right behind him. And Jeffrey Kruger just 4 laps down on Jensen. And I do think Jeffrey Kruger is going to start getting much, much closer. Although the lap times still looking good. They're not as fast as they were early on. 101's the order of the day at the moment. But that's still not bad, considering that the lead car is doing 105s at the moment. And speaking of which, there goes the number 3 car of Jensen. In lead at the moment. I see that light's gone out in that car. Steve, is that a problem?
Well, your visibility goes a bit such. It's actually, it has dulled out quite a bit just in the camera. So every time he takes a look to the right, it's not as bright as what he had, and that can be quite disorientating because suddenly that apex isn't as lit up as you want it to be. So maybe one of the globes eventually giving up the ghost and joining our local power station, just giving a little bit of power, but not as much as needed.
Well, Jensen doing 107s at the moment, and Jeffrey Kruger doing 101s at the moment. We wait for Jeffrey to cross the line once again. I'd like to see how he does over there. So 107s for Jeffrey Kruger, currently 6 seconds a lap faster than Jensen at this stage, and that's exactly what Kruger needs to do, but he needs to do that for about an hour or so. We've still got 1 hour 24 minutes to go. Kwanda Mokoena still in second place. Steve Clark still in third. Jeffrey Kruger, as mentioned, just waiting for him to cross the line. I'd love to see what lap time he does this lap. Just did a 101.5 earlier on, 102.7, so slowing down, but still 4.5 seconds faster than the lead car, so he is catching with the lead car. David Franco now behind the wheel of that Super Cup car, finds himself in first in Class D and 6th overall. The hand goes up for Steve Clark, and that means he's going into the pits. Yeah, that's the old school signal for going into the pits, but not a lot of people use that anymore. But I would imagine for the SAES, it has to be compulsory, surely.
It is in the MSA rule book. Oddly enough,
Exactly.
a lot of people tend to forget about it. It is in the white book that you have to signal that you're going into the pits. You can actually be penalized for not doing it. It's not looked into too much nowadays, but at this level, the guys are told you have to signal to go in the pits, especially at Aldo, because the pit lane is at such an awkward angle, and it's also on one of the fastest parts of the circuit. So if you are caught unaware, you can land up going right into the back of a car that's trying to pull into the pits that's going slowly, and it can cause a massive accident. So in driver's briefing, they were informed over and over and over again, if you're going into the pits, you've got to signal you're going in the pits. Whether you put your hand up or you put your hazards on, something to say that I'm going into the pits. But it looks like they've jacking up the number 42 car. That's Mackie Adlam, and they're going after Harm Pretorius, and Pretorius being absolutely fantastic around the circuit. But Mackie Adlam, current Mobile 1 V8 champion, looking to make an impact here in the SAES. As you can see, they're going to be changing that rear tire, lifting it up, going to pull it off, and
tires coming
okay.
off the rim there. So they've got a puncture on that 42 car. They've got a puncture on that 42 car, and single nut getting lugged off. They got the spare wheel ready to go. This is the problem. The wheel gets stuck on the car. They rip it off and now start to get the wheel back on. And
I'm going for my dad joke. I'm going for my dad joke. Mackie Adlam drove the wheel off that car. There we go. I'm happy. There we go. That's me, the end for the night. Cheers, everyone.
Drove the wheels off that car. Quite literally, Mackie Adlam now getting back into the car, or at least getting back onto the circuit. There goes Steve Clark. The Steve Clark car. I wonder if he is still behind the wheel. We'll find out soon enough. As Jensen leads us off. Kwanda Mokoena in second place. Jeffrey Kruger in third position. And Jeffrey Kruger now just 3 laps behind Jensen. Still circulating at a decent rate. He's overtaken Barissimo Tavares. He's overtaken Steve Clark. He's gotten past David Franco, Hunt Pretorius. The rest of the guys are still in front of him, but he is now on the same lap as Kwanda Makwena. Jeffrey Kruger, a man on the charge, and there goes Jeffrey Kruger now. Kwanda Makwena is just in front of him on the same lap. So Jeffrey Kruger, in unbelievable turn of events here, ladies and gentlemen, is on an exceptionally hard charge. And what we saw earlier on getting done by the young Patamba is now being done once again to the very, very talented, by the very, very talented Jeffrey Kruger as he makes his way around up behind, looks like the Steve Clark car. Yes, it is. We wait for the classification as Steve Clark crosses the line. We'll see if that is him still behind the wheel. No, it's not. It's Mike McLaughlin. Mike McLaughlin gets behind the wheel of the 52 car and now finds himself in 5th position. Tavares now in 4th place. Jeffrey Kruger in 3rd. So Kruger now on the podium, all of a sudden 2nd in Class A with Kwanda Makwena just in front. And I think he might have overtaken Kwanda as well. Jeffrey Kruger might have overtaken Kwanda. We're going to hear now. We'll see now once the classification comes in. I think he might have. Oh, it's a bit close there. The Polo and Jeffrey Kruger get a little bit close for comfort there. But Jeffrey Kruger is still circulating at 101.4. Jensen crosses the line. Jensen's now picked up the pace. Done a 103 to reply to that. So we've got a game of ping pong happening over here. Jensen hits back with a 103. But here comes Jeffrey Kruger now. And in the pit lane we go once again. And let's hear from the lovely Kriya gang here in the pits. What do you have for us, Kriya? Let's hear it.
Stephen, I seem to have found one of your friends in the pits, and I'm getting it right this time, I promise. Andrew, how's it going?
We've had better days out, yeah. First race, we think the bolt that goes through the upright holding the steering rack to the upright snapped, and I spun and collected Petsy Racing, and it's just happened again now. Fortunately, no one else involved, so clearly a bit of a fault there, so making our day interesting.
And it didn't help coming into the pits that you guys stopped at the front of the pits as well.
I couldn't turn it. The steering wheel was not connected to the wheel, so yeah, no problem.
So kind of getting to the end of the race is the plan at the moment.
I think if we can just finish, we'll be quite happy at this point. It's a bit of a write-off for us.
And not collect any other cars in the meantime.
Not my problem now.
Because Colin's out there.
Yeah, exactly. He can take the blame, and I'll sit and relax for a while.
All right. Well, you have the opportunity to say hi to Stephen.
Hello, Koenig family, sitting there, and Steve, you're doing a great job.
Thanks so much, guys.
I don't know about that, Steve. I don't know about you doing a great job at all, my friend. So I'll have to take that one with a pinch of salt. But that was a teammate to Colin Ellison. And Steve, the Koenig family has got a rich history in motorsport. You guys are the single-seater family. But a bit more about that man that was just on screen at the moment now.
Andrew Horn has been involved in motor racing for quite some time. He's a 4-time Formula 4 champion. He has raced historic Formula 4s. He has driven Formula Vs. He's been everywhere. He owns a Nash. He drove in the SAES at the round number 1. He was also part of the pioneers for the Nash sports cars that were racing with us. So it's fantastic to see him out there having a bit of fun. He's also one of the most resilient drivers, and I say that with all the respect to him, because he's managed to pull a rabbit out of the hat every single time he's gone out and really shown what he can do. It's fantastic to see it, and I'm glad to see him having a bit of fun. We heard that he had difficulty with the steering, and he's got the pit crew there, Malcolm, who's part of the Zoo racing team. It's been part of with Graham Foss, who's actually in the comments, going and keeping an eye on his friend Graham, and Andrew also have a long history together. And you can be sure Malcolm has gone and cable tied, taken duct tape and whatever he can to make that car have some form of steering. If it's broke, try and use whatever you can to get it going. But Andrew Horn is one of the nicest people you can meet. Also, during COVID time, went into sim racing to try and keep up with everything, and has been a pioneer with the Sarco guys, which is console racing, and also and has a lot of chatting. Oh, that's an engine that's gone bang.
Oh no! Oh my goodness me! Oh goodness, flames coming out the back of that car there. That looks like Jeffrey Kruger. I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see that. Yes, that is Jeffrey Kruger, and the charge is over. The charge is over, ladies and gentlemen. What we thought would be a historic moment for Jeffrey Kruger and his team has gone up in smoke and flames as he pulls over to the side just after the S's, and unbelievably the same way it had happened early on. There's flames on the back of that car. They need to shut that thing down. Let's cut the engine on this car, Jeffrey, and you need to get out that car as quickly as possible. This is a incredible turn of events. What was a dream charge for Jeffrey Kruger up into third place has ended now in absolute flame and destruction. This race we saw the Lamborghini pull off earlier on with Aranjis behind the wheel. We now see Jeffrey Kruger on the side of the circuit there from third position. And a sigh of relief will be going through the hearts and minds of the number 3 team, because now the pressure is absolutely off, and we will probably see a safety car condition. He's parked pretty far away though, but it does seem like that's it for the Jeffrey Kruger car. Fantastic performance from him. He drove the wheels of that car, but unfortunately, so the engine also decided to get off the ghost.
Aldo Scribanti has taken 3 engines in this endurance race. I mean, that was a massive plume of smoke. They were talking about they were struggling with oil pressure. Well, I can guarantee you right now, there is no oil pressure left in that car. And oh, my heart goes out to them. They worked so hard and so frantically to make sure that that car is ready to go. And you can just see Jeffrey Kruger looking around, making sure he's in a safe spot. All it takes is one car to lose it. It is in a pretty fast area, but the whole team must be... I would be pulling my hair out. They have changed motors multiple times. The last time they were here at Aldo Scribanti, they went through 2 motors. They drove a motor down from Johannesburg all the way down to Port Elizabeth to get it sorted out. Now they have just had this motor go up in a bunch of smoke. Either that car is going to be parked on the trailer, or it's going to have a mechanic going with a grinder after it. One of the two is going to happen tonight.
So frustrating. I might have called it incorrect there. It did look like some flames coming out the back, maybe just a little bit of bright, just a couple of sparks coming out the back. There's smoke, certainly. Jeffrey Kruger's fine. He shows the guys where the tow hook is. Of course, it's mandatory for race cars to have tow hooks for exactly these kinds of situations. But, oh man, what a shame, what a pity. He is now beached and stranded on the side of the circuit. The safety vehicle is out over there. And someone that will be breathing a big sigh of relief. And it's never nice to see your competitor out, but Jensen, now getting led away by the safety car, will be glancing over to see exactly what just happened. And the pressure is now completely off Jensen in that car over there, with Kwanda Makwena 1 lap down. Kwanda Makwena able to do 103s. He's in the pit lane now. There goes Kwanda now. Gets out of the car. It looks like it's time for Chops Sapuka to get into the vehicle. And yes, indeed, it is time for Sapuka to get into the car. Vashavonke, Chops Sapuka, getting ready to get going in that Audi GT4. This is the perfect time to stop then. Astrid from Germany commenting, yeah, wonder, I hope there's no oil on the track. And I'm sure the marshals will be inspecting the circuit. That's the same place we saw that engine on that Lambo go early on, Steve. Almost exactly the same, in fact.
It seems to be the same thing, where down the main straight is where you're pushing the engine at its hardest. We saw that Poseidon's car gave up the ghost, same spot. The Lamborghini went up in a plume of smoke in the 3 hour just before this one. Exact same spot. Yeah, this is when you start wondering how much strain are you putting the motor on. Maybe getting out of the corner, instead of burying your foot to the ground, just lift it up a little bit. but I'm sure that by the time Jeffrey Kruger saw that oil light come on, it was just too late. And they were complaining about they did have to do some work, and unfortunately, I think the engine was hurt previously before they did before they did the work on the computer. It just hurt the engine just a little bit too much, and that's where we saw the bang. But as you can see, the straight all seems to be going well, and then bang, Morgan
boom. And
Root.
that's the fastest part of the circuit, isn't it, Steve? And I think what we saw at the back was just the brake lights lighting up the smoke over there. But definitely a little bit of redness coming out the back of that car. But man, oh man, here comes the Audi GT4 back on circuit. And the GT4 now, Kwanda Mokoena in second place. Yeah, you're saying?
Just thinking, the Morgan Root car was right behind him when that engine went. You know how much oil and muck that must have come off the back of that car. And this is when you start regretting having an open cockpit car, because
top car. It's
over your steering wheel, it's on your visor, it's over your overalls. You're climbing out and you're just looking for a shower afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And the race is still nowhere near over yet. And of course, as you mentioned now, there's going to be splatterings of oil everywhere. Maybe not a trail of oil on the circuit, but certainly hints thereof on the cars behind as the field start to circulate now. And it looks like we're still under safety car conditions at the moment. Trying to find that safety car. I don't see him anywhere. This, of course, is the GT4 Audi that's now done a very economical pit stop with Sepuka behind the wheel. So that is exactly the right time to pit stop. They were waiting for a safety car to make that. Sepuka's now only got 1 hour driving to do, 1 hour and 8 minutes, where the young Kwanda has done two hour stints. So 4 hours of driving for Kwanda Mokoena, Steve. Amazing.
It's honestly amazing, and it's really superhuman level to keep up the concentration to do it. The youngster has put in a fantastic effort, and giving Chop Sepuka the time of just to get a little bit better, make sure he's feeling okay before he goes out. Maybe Chops is going to be a little bit off the ball at the moment, but there's enough spacing for him to just take a little bit of a breather and just get into a comfortable rhythm. That is something I've got to point out, is when your teammate says, listen, I know you're not feeling okay, I'll take on the load, I'll carry some of the load, is absolutely amazing and shows the professionalism in the young man. And for the team to have the confidence in him to say, go do it, that is absolutely amazing. The trust, the confidence and the professionalism that has been shown today by not only Kwanda Mokoena and the team, but everyone here in the SAES and the SAGT.
Yeah, we've got a comment in the comments over here talking about the professionalism. Gecko says here that he's from Desi Raceway and he'd love to see the racing at this level of professionalism, and he's not wrong. I mean, we've got a tight series over here and it's getting tighter by every single event. The teams, the organizers, it's really proving to be one of those situations where the guys are really starting to level up in every way. And we've even seen the competition level up, Steve. I mean, look at the SAG in it every time. We've got the SAES race over here, SAE race over here. So many cars in it every time. Anybody can win it. We've got a couple of cars that we saw that Aston Martin, not even here today, but that hasn't dampened the competitive spirit of the rest of the guys. So many dices happening all the way through. And if we look further back now, Steve, I think we got to cut to Harm Pretorius and Ben Morgenroot, because that is the closest race on circuit at the moment. There is just 1 second in between those two, and that is the fight for the lead in Class E. So we're going to wait and see if we can get eyes on that once the safety car peels away. He's not going in this lap, so maybe the next lap. But let's watch out for Harm Pretorius over there and Ben Morgenroot in the 222 car. Those two cars are fighting for position. Somebody's ducked into the pits there, so let's wait and see who that is. But those cars are fighting for position, Harm Pretorius and Ben Morgenroot in first and second place in Class E.
don't count out Mackie Adlam. He's in 9th place and still has been putting in a consistent effort. So I wouldn't count him out just as yet. But as you said, the closest race is going to be Pretorius, Morgenrud and Adlam. And it's a just carbon copy of what we saw in the first 3 hour here today at Aldo Scrivanti. And I can't wait to see how it works out. Once again, Class E, super close to one another. We've got Colin Ellison who's out. He's behind Steve Clark in the slingshot. And we've got to remember, Colin Ellison is now in a car that at one point had no steering. Not at one point, at 1, 2, 3 points that it had no steering. Andrew Horn has driven it where he could turn the steering, but the wheels aren't moving. He had it in the first 3 hours. He's had it again now. They fixed it. There's got to be sitting in the back of the mind here of you can't get too much into a fight, because what if? That what if situation starts rolling in the mind. What if something can go wrong? Jensen taking a look and seeing Alicia getting parked off on the side. As much as it's not nice to see the competitors going and unfortunately not finishing, but it's also a sigh of relief. At the same time, they have the same motor as you. What went bang, and is it possible to have it on your as well? Those are the questions that start circulating around, and this is what makes endurance racing so much fun. This is what makes it incredible, and I'm sure all these drivers are going to be chomping at the bit, waiting, and once the race is over, they're going to be looking at joining the party. As you can see, the medical car going around, and that's actually got one of our officials in, and they are taking a look to see if there's any oil on the circuit, or if how the little sprays are, you know, what's going on. So just investigating to ensure the safety of all the competitors that are going around, because the last thing you want to do is catch oil at close to over 200 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, man, I still cannot believe what we saw now. We saw a incredible charge from the guys, and their spirits have always been high, haven't they? I mean, even with all this adversity, we saw the guys from that team always showing high spirits. Rian Botma and Jeffrey Kruger, they've always pushed hard. They've always put on incredible performances. But man, not able to get the results. I'm so disappointed for them at the moment. Kind of still feeling it a little, but I got to be honest, we were hoping for, in the words of my ex-colleague, a grandstand finish over there. But unfortunately, that was not to be, as we see Jensen now completing 100 laps in that number 3 car. And Nick Adcock still has to get in that car. So Adcock's probably going to take us home pretty soon. 100 laps completed for our lead car over there. About to jump into lap number 101. Yes, he does. Chop Sapuka on lap 98. Mike McLaughlin on lap 97. Hein Latergan on lap 96. David Franco on lap 93. And the BMW parked on the side of the circuit there. I wonder what's going on there. That's not where the incident took place. That's at the end of the straight. So there must be oil there, Steve. Yes, there is. There's oil on the circuit. There is oil on the circuit. Astrid Hoekstedt called it earlier on. Oil on the circuit. So we're going to have to wait and see, and wait until that oil gets cleared up. And this could take a while, folks. This could take a while. Maybe we can head to Kriya in the pits while we wait for this and hear if there's any news from Kriya in the pits, because there is strategy at play here, and especially with this car on your screen now. That's the Morgenrud. That's the Morgenrud car over there. That is the Morgenrud car in 7th position and 2nd in Class E, right behind the Barum Pretorius car, and Harum Pretorius driving over there. That is the orange car just in front of him. So the orange car and the car with the blue lights on your screen now, those two cars are fighting for position. You can see them there. That's the Morgenrud car. Just in front, you see that orange car over there behind the Franco van Niekerk car there. That's the Polo. But those two cars in the middle of your screen are fighting for first place in Class E. And we've got about an hour to go, folks. And these guys are just 1.2 seconds apart. So it is one of those days today, ladies and gentlemen. There is always a race on circuit when it comes to this type of racing, Steve. And that's what makes it so exciting, isn't it? There's always a dice. Whether you're driving, whether you're watching, there's always something to see and do.
There's something to look around and get excited about, but I can't imagine any more of a frustrating time is that Pretorius and Ben Morganrud are having at this point. They're so close to one another. They can lose. They are fighting for position, and you're going around behind the pace car. You're trying to stay focused on what needs to be done, but just looking around and seeing your competitor so close. Oh, the nerves must be on edge. The tension in the pits, you can cut with a knife at this point. As they're going around, just going and sorting out the oil. You've got to imagine they are putting cement dust down. Now, what that does is it helps soak up the oil, and the cars go and kick it off to the side. It really does help. One problem it does go and give, and Ernest, you've driven through more than enough cement dust to know your visibility goes it's gone.
It's the worst,
but now
especially at night.
Well, that's the saying. You got your headlights. It's like driving in fog and turning your brights on. It's just not the ideal situation. You have to change your line. It is on the outside of the circuit, but still run wide or let one of the leaders go. You straight into that stuff, and oh man, it's going to be a very tense time when the cars get going once again. But you have to think these guys are now looking around, looking at the lights, looking at the crowd, looking at the stage, all geared up with our bands. But you got to try and keep within that mental mindset of you're in a race, you've got to push, you've got to make it count. It's for the points. It's the second last race for the championship. Our finale is going to be in Cape Town. These guys have to give it everything they got to make it count for 2022, and you're sitting behind a safety car going 60 kilometers an hour. This is like being on the highway in the fast lane with someone driving at 60 or 80 kilometers an hour, and you just can't get by.
And getting back to what you were saying earlier on about that dust over there, we see the guys making their way all the way around the corner over there. So this streak of oil seemingly going for quite some time. What will also happen is once they round that bend and they go through the dust, you kind of wonder how much grip there is available. You know that there's oil on the circuit. Oh my goodness, look at that thick line of oil there. Did you see that, Steve? That is a thick line of oil on the circuit. So they're going to have to cover all of that oil with cement. But that line looks very, very thick over there. I'm not sure if I'm mistaken or not, but that did look like a line of oil we saw earlier on. There is another line where the tarmac joins. But when you hit that dust, you're not quite sure how much grip is available. You think that there might be 90%, 95% of the maximum grip that there was, but you're not quite sure. And then how much of that dust do you trust? You know, especially the guys in front, especially with guys like Harm and Ben Morganrud on the same lap. They've got no gap between them, basically. Once the pace car goes, it's go, 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 and they'll be racing for position. So between those two guys, it's the worst off. The rest of the guys can maybe take it a bit easy and tiptoe through the corner, but these two guys are not going to be tiptoeing at all because they are fighting for position. And I'm so glad our producers have picked up on this race, because now, ladies and gentlemen, once we get going again, once that pace car pulls in, it's go time for those two cars.
Now, as you pointed out, there's a lot of oil there, that streak, but you can also see the Jensen car busy trying to tell the safety car, we need to go. The tires are getting cold here. We need to get a little bit of pace, but at the same time, they're also going slow enough that these cars are starting to get warm. Remember, some of the cars here, such as the Leisure, doesn't have a fan to cool it down. It's literally running with the air through the radiator to try and cool the water down. Because a fan just adds weight.
Kind of like a Beetle.
Yeah, that's it. It adds weight. You got to remove it so you're not going slow enough. But in this situation, they're watching a temperature gauge like a hawk, and they were struggling with it previously. So this is the worst case scenario for them. But with the amount of oil that's been put down, it's a good thing we're near a cement factory.
Steve, now a car you mentioned earlier on, and a car that I'm not too familiar with, of course, is the Nash. You spoke about it before, and it's a South African design car, Nash Motorsport.co.za. You can check them out, Kennard Motor Works. But could you tell us a bit more about this Nash, and why do you keep mentioning it every time?
Well, the Nash was actually the rival to the Backdraft Roadsters. There was originally the two classes. You had the Roadsters and you had the Nashes. The Nashes were built as similar to what we see as the Ligier. They were built by Matthew Nash, who made a South African copy of it and made it reasonably affordable. It ran a VW motor and it was an affordable sports car, and you could go purchase one and go racing. But unfortunately, it hasn't.
2 liter 8 valve, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and it hasn't lasted the test of time compared to the likes of the backdrafts, where there's, guys are loving this stuff. It's a big burly V8 versus a sports car. But that's why I keep touching on it, because it is part of the history of the SAES. It is part of the history of the South African endurance scene. And I like to bring up the local made cars that show that we've got these craftsmen that can build some magnificent machinery. I mean, we take a look at the Slingshot. That is a magnificent car built in Durban. It's a prototype. The guys have been working on it. It's one of two. We go to the Ligier, which is built overseas. It's built by the Ligier factory. Been around for many, many, many moons. They've built the LMP3s, LMP2s. They have done lots and lots of work. But we have built cars here in South Africa that can rival them. And I think the more that we can get, like, the Backdraft Roadsters in, the Nashes, the pull beams, the more cars that we can pull back in, and the more history we can put into the SAES and show off what these cars can do, the racing is going to be better and better. And that's what we've seen from the guys. Going and getting hold of cars that have been sitting around for a while, sorting them out, fixing them up, getting them out and racing, and also putting on a magnificent show for everyone in the crowd. And sit here as a commentator and being able to see the field grow and grow and grow, and with these local talents, safety car is coming in, lights are off, but I gotta love it. Can't wait to see it, and hopefully we're going to see a Nash at the last race.
Well, Keegan Campos did spend some time in the Nash. In fact, got some success, just like he did in Super Cup a couple days ago. But now, speaking of success, we go back to the racing, and off they go down the strip. It's green, green, green for the racing. And the cars to watch here are the two Class E cars. There goes Pretorius. There goes Morgan Drew. Two of them now on the chase for one another. It's anything to play for now. These guys are going to be battling for position right in front of our very eyes, Steve. Oh, my goodness, someone's gone off. Someone's gone off. The dusters. Someone's been caught out there. And that is one of the Backdraft Cobras over there. I wonder which one that is. Trying to see who that is over there. Oh, there's traffic as well. Is that the 007 car? I don't think so. They were out earlier on. So that could be Ellison over there. You're going to have to wait and see. Steve, see if we can identify that car. But the race we're talking about between Pretorius and, of course, that other Morgan Root car over there is the one to watch at this stage.
If I could get any closer to the screens, I would be calling it VR at this point to try and identify the numbers. But it's turning into quite a race. Donnie going in, causing a little bit of a problem there. That's got Pretorius to slow up and allowed Morgan Root to get right onto the back of him. Kwanda McKenna is on a charge. He got caught out with one of the Backdraft Roadsters rejoining on the circuit. But this is not what Pretorius wanted to deal with, as he's got David Franco, who's in the car just ahead of him, and he's getting chased down by Morgan Rood, who's going to put a lot of pressure. Here comes McKenna in the GT4, making quick work of him. Morgan Rood going into the tow and pulling himself along in the slipstream, and I think Pretorius is on the wrong part of the circuit to stop Morgan Rood, and we're going to have to take a look at that. McKenna might have just opened the door for Morgan Rood to get by, and he did.
Yes, he has. And Franco not circulating very fast. Why is Franco going that slowly, though? Incredible to see that car's capable of 107. So Franco not going at ultimate pace at this stage. But someone that is going at ultimate pace is Ben Morgenroot, the elder statesman of South African motorsport. Finds himself battling it out with Harm Pretorius. Mackie Adlam just 2 laps down. Will be trying to get into the mix as well. But there goes Ben Morgenroot now in first place in Class E. But Harm Pretorius hasn't quite given up yet. There is the car we saw spinning out earlier. I think that was the 007 car. And he goes past Harm. So Harum now having some major problems over there in between. I think Harum slowed down earlier on, Steve. I think he might be getting fuel surge because that's the same spot that he slowed down earlier on. It wasn't because of Franco. I think Harum might have an issue, and it's on the same part of the circuit that he's slowing down at this stage. Maybe not enough fuel in that car as we see what looks like the Colin Ellison car going over there. We're going to see which one of those crosses the line. That is Ben Morgenroot. Yes, that is Colin Ellison there just behind Ben Morgenroot, but he is way down the order. So he will be fighting it out there, but not for position at this stage. He's all the way down on lap number 82. Craig Zank crossed the line, so does Bapu. And here comes Ben Morgenroot, now your current leader in Class E. He'll be heading off into the distance. He said earlier on he's not that comfortable driving at night. Benjamin, his son, will be the one they'll be putting out at night for the most part, but with 15 minutes to go, it's still everyone to play for. And Franco seems to be circulating very, very slowly. 1 minute 20 is the time there. So David Franco not looking good at the moment, but he is still a lap ahead of Ben Morgenroot, and he's currently in 5th place first in Class D.
Just taking a look, Ellison is pushing Ben Morgenroot. These two have a bit of a rivalry in historic racing, looking to reignite it here in the SAES. And you got to think, like, Morgenroot can't come off the throttle and let Ellison go by, and Ellison, he can't come off the throttle either. He's got to make up some ground. So you kind of in this situation of there's no give, because as soon as something gives, someone's going to lose out very, very badly. But Ellison has a bit of a motto: drive it until it breaks, and that's exactly what he's done, and it's helped him win championships in multiple different series. And he has got lots of experience in different types of car. He's actually been pioneering this backdraft roadsters. He's been loving it. He's been getting more and more people involved, and that's why he's actually had the most amount of secondary driver changes throughout the season. He's had Christopher Radloff. He's had chaps from the UK. He's had Andrew Horn. But to know that he's driving with something where the steering can give at any moment, they cobbled something together and making it work. It's all I can say. It's just knowing who's involved. It's been cobbled together. It's making it work. And well, if it survives, hey, let's make sure we get it on the trailer before it falls apart.
Exactly. Someone that is on a charge at the moment is Hein Lateghan, doing a 1:03.5, his fastest lap of the race. So far, so he is in 4th position and 2nd in Class A. Jensen currently leading Class A, but Hein Lateghan picking up the pace now and getting his fastest lap of the race so far. Someone else also picking up the pace is Ben Morgenroot. So far is still in the lead with as mentioned, Colin Ellison right behind him. Craig Zank also now in the mix, still circulating. They're quite a far ways down. So all of these drivers have had certain, not all, but certainly Colin Ellison, Craig Zank, Jeffrey Kruger, Mario de Souza. These guys have had issues, but are still in the race and still fighting it out. Mario de Souza chasing down Bapu over there, also in Class E. And Mike McLaughlin and Chop Sapuka in Class C, fighting it out with 2 laps in between them. There goes Heinrich Lateghan, 2nd in Class A, 4th overall. And that Porsche looking simply fantastic. I saw a picture of the old Porsche now. It also had the Swan neck spoiler, but I do think this is the latest spec. I'd love to get some confirmation on that from Kriya, if possible. If we can find out exactly what the spec of that Porsche is as he makes his way past one of the slower backdrafts there through the dipper. Now they go towards the final corner of the circuit, and the Porsche of Heinrich Lateghan still looking very, very good out there. Tavares putting in the work earlier on, but now the older gentleman Heinrich Lateghan now behind the wheel. We saw him share the car with Henk Lateghan, the Works Toyota driver, and having massive success at the previous event. This time in 2nd in Class A, 4th overall, still quite respectable. But I do think the level of competition has grown since then, Steve. I think everybody's going to have to up their game. This car simply hasn't got, I don't think, some of the horsepower that some of the other cars have got in the field today, or at least the pace, ultimate pace, as some of the other cars in the field today. Steve, what are your thoughts on that?
The 992 Porsche that we're seeing on circuit. It doesn't have the same pace. It weighs more, far more than Jensen's car. Jensen sitting at 570 kilos. You're looking at about 1.2 tons of Porsche. So power to weight ratio, it's in a little bit of a losing battle there. But one thing it has been having is the reliability between his 991, which he was racing, to the 992, which we see on screen. He's been putting in some fantastic work with it, and the Porsches have been really having a ball out, and it's fantastic to see these cars coming through. As you said, everyone's got to step up their game. They've got to try and figure out what they can do. But I've just got a little bit of interesting information about Colin Ellison. You want to talk about having a bit of a weekend where he's going to have a drink afterwards. While driving down to Port Elizabeth, he had his aircon pump give up the ghost. So he stopped on the side of the road, got it sorted out, cobbled the thing together, and carried on. While going through, the rear window on his Vito broke. It shattered. So that's another thing that's gone on. Duct taped the thing together, got down. Now having the steering column on the backdraft Roadster, giving a hassle and braking not once, not twice, but 3 times in one day. You can be sure that he's sitting there thinking, I'm going to need a case of courage juice at the end of this before I even think about going to sleep.
I can't believe that he's had all that bad luck this weekend. But Colin Ellison, again, he's been on the podium. He's been on the top step. He led the championship overall, if you remember, in the beginning, and just showed what a backdraft can do. But again, I think the level of, not saying that some of these drivers aren't on the level of competition, of course not. But it just seems like the overall level and the overall depth of the field, as the Americans say in college wrestling, the strength of a schedule, has increased over the last couple of races. The guys instead of being 3 or 4 fast guys, there's maybe 5 or 6 now. Instead of being 2 in a class, there's 4 in a class that all have pace, and we're starting to see that more and more as the fields grow, and the guys that are at the tip of the spear are being joined by other guys that are just as fast and with faster equipment. So we're starting to see the strength of schedule getting bumped up for some of these guys and for some of these teams and some of these classes, and this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see that talent pool get deeper. We want to see the competition get stiffer, and we want to see guys like Colin Ellison coming back even stronger next time to show the boys how it's supposed to be done.
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say it now. Next year we're going to see 30 plus cars on the grid for the SAES. We're going to see it because everyone's talking about it. The natter in the racing community and going and chatting to the different guys, they all got an interest in saying, can we get a car built up? Can we get something going? Because we don't have to have the most expensive car. And that's what a lot of people tend to look. They see the Porsche, they see the Ferraris, they see all that, and they think, man, you got to have lots of money to be here. But it's actually not the case. You look at the backdraft Roadsters, they're reasonable cost to go racing, especially in these long enduros. And even if you're bringing your own car, yes, travel comes in, fuel comes in, but it's not substantially higher than your sprint racing nowadays. So for bang for buck, I think a lot of people are going to start looking at coming into the SAES and taking a look at our chats on YouTube. We got Noah Hendricks busy going and saying, duct tape, he's not quite sure. Duct tape, seriously? William Wentworth going and saying the GT4 of Chop Sabuka is looking really good at night, especially with the glowing discs. And guys just going and talking. That's sim racers also going and chatting about building up cars to come and race in the series. Going and finding Project BMWs to be there. But I just saw one of the backdraft Roadsters very, very slow on the way through.
Yeah, I think we need to keep an eye on these guys over here because things could change at any point. Sabuka now finds himself in 2nd position. Adcock in 1st place. McLaughlin in 3rd place. Hein Latergan in 4th. Morgan Root now with a comfortable lead over Hard Pretorius of about 13 seconds. But it ain't over yet, Steve. It ain't over by a long shot. I'm trying to see where the gaps are, and at the moment, most of the cars are separated by quite some margin, with Ben Morgenroot and Harm Pretorius still the closest race. But Chop Sapuka, look at this. Chop Sapuka is now within 54 seconds of the lead car, with Adcock behind the wheel. And Sapuka now, with 41 minutes to go, is basically one bad pit stop away from getting the overall lead. Oh, tries to squeeze past over there, gets held up ever so slightly, and he's got backdrops to thread by. But Sapuka now is within striking distance of Adcock. And are we going to see a grandstand finish here for the race lead, as Nick Adcock, having been given the lead by his teammates, now needs to make sure that he stays ahead as Chop Sapuka starts to drop the hammer. Chop Sapuka did a 105 in that previous run. Adcock did a 106, but it's not over yet. I'm sure Adcock's got some more pace in him, and I'm sure his team's going to let him know that he needs to start going, because Chop Sapuka is on the chase. They are and will soon be on the same lap. This is the final. Let's check what that gap looks like now. Sapuka did get some traffic though, so there might be a little bit of a discrepancy on that lap time. Going into lap number 116 is Chop Sapuka. 56 seconds down, ladies and gentlemen. 56 seconds the gap. Let's watch Adcock and see what he can do over the coming laps.
Chop Sapuka has been told by the team, go, go, go. You have to make it count, and he's trying to go and show the talent that he's got. I mean, this is a multiple champion that we've got here. He's done some magnificent things. He's even represented South Africa in the Kyalami 9 hour, and we cannot forget that. He was in a Lamborghini, and now going and joining his family member in the Audi R8 GT4 LMS, and really putting on a fantastic show. But I'm also going to lean a bit here. He's not feeling 100%. So that's going to start taking its toll, as you can quite easily start getting a bit of motion sickness if you've got a thing called like gastritis. In other words, like a tummy ache. This constant moving, the constant G-forces can cause motion sickness and makes life very, very difficult in an endurance race like this, especially going at 200 plus kilometers an hour.
200 plus kilometers an hour, at least 200 k's an hour. All the brakes glowing over there, that exhaust spitting flames out the back there, almost looking like the car's got some sort of undercar lighting, but it's just the lights on the number over there. Let's watch as Chop Sapuka comes through once again. The lap time of Adcock now down to a 105. Sapuka's best in that car, the fastest that car can do, is a 103. So maybe Adcock and the guys are just coasting around. But here comes Sapuka now. He was half a second faster on the previous lap. And if he can chip away at those half a second, there's still 38 minutes to go. And the lap time we saw earlier on, less than 1 minute between the two of them. Of course, this is about a 1 minute lap. 105 to be exact for the two lead cars. Mike McLaughlin doing 106s, but he's 2 laps down. And Mike McLaughlin is on the same lap as Heinrich Latergan, who is now chasing him down with 1 second. So all of a sudden, we've got a couple of races in our hands here for the lead cars. There's 55 seconds between the two front runners and 21 seconds between McLaughlin in third place and fourth, pushing very hard. We said it was 21 seconds. He should be crossing the line in the next couple of seconds. And when he does, Heinrich Latergan will know. Well, 13 seconds separates Harm Pretorius and Morgenroot. Morgenroot now back behind Harm. Heinrich Latergan dropping that gap down to 18 seconds. So it looks like Harm Pretorius is back in the lead. Morgenroot with a very slow lap. There may be a pit. Pretorius is back in the lead of Class E, with Morgenroot back in second position in Class E, and just behind him, 1 lap down, is Mackie Adlam still on the charge, Steve.
It's going to be a close race right the way through the field. I don't think anyone can call it. But take a look at Rob Franco. He's also 47 seconds behind Mackie Adlam. So he's also trying to go and catch up to the back of Adlam. So it is turning into a race up and down the field. You don't know who's going to get it. It is going to be a race to the end of the line. And Ernest, I don't know about you, I'm already out the seat. I'm leaning over my table, trying to work out. I've got my page in front of me, just guessing how many laps is it going to take, trying to do calculations at this point. It is turning into such an amazing race. Heinrich Latergan putting the hammer down 16 seconds behind Mike McLaughlin. I'm sure that Tony Martin and Sean and Clark are saying, listen, you've got to put the hammer down, otherwise we're going to lose the podium. Right here, the overall podium. Yes, you're second in class. Okay, that's cool. But to lose the overall podium, that's just a punch in the gut. You've got Morgan Root, who's on a hard charge now. He's trying to get back up to Pretorius. We saw him going a little bit slow. I do think he did pit to get a little bit of a splash and dash. He's 8.4 seconds behind. Oh, man. I don't know where to look at this point. It's just like I wish I had more screens to look at all the cameras that are out on the circuit, because everywhere you look, there is a car waiting to move up a position.
Yeah, Ben Morgenroot on the chase at the moment. Heinrich Latergan just set his fastest lap early on, also on the chase, 12 seconds behind Mike McLaughlin. Chop Sapuka on the chase, just a couple of seconds behind Adcock. So we've got a couple of cars here that are in it for the win. I do think we're going to see Ben Morgenroot catching up to Harm Pretorius very quickly. Mackie Adlam looking so fast as well. He's faster than Morgenroot and Harm at the moment. So Mackie Adlam, one lap further down, could find himself higher up on the podium than he was early on. He was in third place earlier on today. Now Mackie Adlam could find himself higher up. He is chasing down those two lead cars, but we don't know who still has to pit, Steve. It's the last half an hour of the race, and this is where we often see pit stops wreaking havoc with these guys, because someone has to stop and the car behind them doesn't have to. 55 seconds the gap between Adcock and Chop Sapuka, both of them doing 104.7. Adcock just did a 105. So if Chops can do below 105, he will be dropping that deficit. But I've given up trying to calculate, Steve. We've got 35 minutes of racing to go. Anything can happen. Hein Latergan just 9 seconds behind McLaughlin. I do think Hein Latergan catching McLaughlin is just time at this stage in that Porsche. So that Porsche is well on its way to getting a third. Comes Ben Morgenroot now with Harm Pretorius well within his sights. Just a couple of seconds up the road, 5.6 seconds to be exact. There goes Harm, and there goes Ben.
It's going to be incredible, and I don't know. I feel like if I say anything now, it's going to, if we put commentator's curse on anyone, there's not enough distance between East London and Johannesburg at this. It's just,
I'm not taking
I don't know where to look.
I'm not taking any responsibility in anything that's happening here. If anybody's to blame, it's Kriya, because she's there. I'm not anywhere near this racetrack at the moment, so I've got nothing to do with what happens now. All I'm going to do is say what I see. And what I'm seeing is an incredible turn of events, Steve. We've just got 33 minutes of racing to go. We are almost at the finish, and we are almost at the final stage of this race. The final 30 minutes is a final hour, of course, is a monumental part of the race, but the last 30 minutes is literally a dash to the finish. And if these drivers have it, they're going to try and put, some of them might do a splash and dash in the next couple of minutes, because that would be the time to do so. But before we get to before we cut back the racing that's happening over here with those gaps, it's just getting ever closer to Mike McLaughlin. I think he's going to be overtaking soon. So before the overtake happens, I'm just going to jump to the comment section on YouTube quickly. Noor Hendricks in the comments over there. Welcome, welcome. William Wentworth also in the comments. And Noor says, this series, like all other SA racing series, is so underrated. Amazing to see these cars going around. A thicker pack would attract lots of attention. And a drone cam, he says, that sounds like a good idea. Armin Bucher says, thank you, William. And go MJR. That's his team. So Arvid Bucher supporting team Marius Jackson Racing over there. And there goes the Porsche now. So let's get back to the action. And let's see what those gaps are at this stage. Is that dust? What is that over there? That looks like cement dust. Okay, just cement dust. They're going through that cement dust over there. And these two cars that we see in front of us are the charge, and that is for position. That is the McLaughlin car in third place. Heinrich Latergan now very much within striking distance, easily gets past the backdrop, but that's not where his fight lies. His fight lies with the car just in front of him, and that is Mike McLaughlin in the backdraft slingshot, which I think will be overtaken in a matter of moments. And Bardent also, Harden Pretorius, I apologize, in that backdraft over there, now sees Ben Morgenroot coming up behind him.
Ernest, I could hear your heart in your throat when they went through that cement dust, because we take a look back, the last 30 minutes of the 3 hour we had a little bit earlier, chaos just arrived in the last 30 minutes, so I could hear that stress coming into play. But Heinrich Latergan getting ahead of Mike McLaughlin, that 992 Cup car just made quick work of Mike McLaughlin. I think what the backdraft slingshot team are doing, they just taking it easy, wanting the car to just cross the line, not go and break it. They've had some difficulty with it. Rather just get across the line, take what you can in terms of points, and keep going. And it's going to be a long race for these guys, and I'm sure every single person is taking a look going, where's that checkered flag? Where's that checkered flag? Because the fatigue has definitely kicked in. The guys have been up all day. They've been in the sun. It's been hot down there. They have been walking around, trying to do what they can, talking to their friends, also get cars ready, lots of setup work. And now we're getting closer towards 10 o'clock. It is 38 minutes past 9 at night, which is the latest that we've had racing for the series this year. And the guys still have so much to do. Even packing up is going, putting the car away, packing up the tools is a mission at this point. Plus they go and enjoy a concert as well. These drivers are going to be absolutely finished by the end of it. And the harder you push, the more fatigue is going to come in towards the end of the race. And I think by the last 10 minutes, you're going to see guys starting to come off the throttle and just calm down a little bit and be a little bit more, taking a little bit more of a breather, because it's enough is enough.
Yeah. It's been a long weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long race day for these drivers, and even us commentators are feeling it a little bit, but we've just headed into the final 30 minutes. It's the final push for all of us. It's the final push for the drivers. Nick Adcock leads us off in first position there. Just behind him is Chop Sapuka, who earlier was less than a minute behind him. There goes Heinrich Latergan, who just managed to slot into third place in that Porsche over there. Mike McLaughlin gets dispatched into fourth place and second in Class C. And Ben Morgenroot gets past Harden Pretorius in the backdraft to take first in Class E4 now. But he's just still got Harden right behind him, 17 seconds behind him. Mackie Adlam is a lap down. We've only got 30 minutes to go, so Mackie Adlam could find his way, and he's 2 seconds a lap faster than Harden Pretorius at the moment. But the race that I'm looking at, Steve, is Chop Sapuka, and we're waiting for Chops to cross the line to see what that gap is looking like. Earlier we saw that gap in the 50-second range. There goes the Audi now, and the Audi should cross the line shortly, 55 seconds. So Adcock able to keep that gap at a steady 55 seconds, but for how much longer, I don't know. Let's find out.
You can keep an eye on Chop Sapuka. I'm taking a look. Ben Morgenroot and Harm Pretorius, 1.7 seconds, and this is going for the win. And Pretorius looking to try and have a great time for the Pesty Racing team here at Aldo Scabanti. Ben Morgenroot and his team looking to also try and do everything they can. This is the same case we had earlier where Ben Morgenroot, Harm Pretorius and Mackie Adlam duked it out with one another, but that C will be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. So that 262 backdraft Roadster currently in 6th place, gone across the line, 3.4 seconds behind. And it looks like Ben Morgenroot has stepped it up, doing a 1:11.0. So he's been told by the team, you've got to start giving it everything she's got to keep ahead of Pretorius at this point. Pretorius doing a 1:12.8, and I think he got caught up a little bit with cars getting around him. And Mackie Adlam, as you pointed out, going incredibly quick, a 1:09.6, but still one lap down on them. So he's trying everything he can to make up some ground and get a little bit closer. But keep an eye on 222, Ben Morgenroot and Harm Pretorius. as we see on screen, that Audi GT4 R8 LMS. And for anyone that's wondering where the lights are coming from, it's shining on the numbers, actually built into the side mirrors itself. There's a LED strip either side, very, very bright, as you can see, makes a difference. And even when you're there in person, it is absolutely amazing. I thought about those LEDs actually having it in my room, because it turns day into night and you can see the number the whole time. But we'll have to see if Chop Sabuka can pull a rabbit out of the hat to catch up to Nick Adcock. They are going blow for blow in times, and yeah, let's see how that all ends up. But Ben Morgenrud there with the blue light bar, right behind him Harm Pretorius, who is on a proper charge to try and close down this gap. So let's see, as you call him, the elder statesman, will he be able to keep up the pace, or is he going to get caught out by the youngster Harm Pretorius?
Yeah, Ben Morgenrud with a wealth of experience, having raced all those rotary cars back in the day. I'm sure many of us that used to watch the racing fondly. And I gotta say, when I spoke to Ben at Red Star Raceway, he wasn't, between us, Steve, he wasn't my favorite of the drivers back in the day. So I was more of a Sarel van der Merwe kind of guy, I gotta be honest. But I gotta say, Ben still got it after all these years. He's in his 70s at the moment, if you can believe it, 72 years old. Last time at least 73 now at this stage. And Ben Morgenrud still got it, man. 112.7. Victoria's managing 113s at the moment, but Mackie Adler, I think, could do some. Chop Sapuka still with a 57-second gap over there. Hein Latigman starting to this gap on Mike McLaughlin. I don't see any other races happening at this stage. The guys that wanted to get by got by, but I do think that Mackie Adler could upset everything here with 25 minutes to go. He's already on the podium, but he could be second on this podium if Harm Pretorius is not able to pick up the pace. He's about 3.5 seconds faster per lap is Madam in the foot. So if our producers can cut to that, I'd love to get some eyes on him. See, he has to so Mackie Adlam, of course, is the 42 car. Mackie Adlam in the 42 car. Let's see if we can get some eyes on that 42 car. And he is currently circulating very, very fast with 109.6 versus 113 of Hartoria. So I think we could see a race happening very, very soon. He's currently 57 seconds down. That's a lot of time to chop off though, but if he can get 3 seconds a lap, Steve, I know you're the maths man over here. 3 seconds a lap, we've got about 23 laps to go. That would be enough, I think.
It's going to be close. It's going to be close, because you've also got to take a look at they getting passed by the faster cars, so they're giving way, going offline. So you have to run those times every single lap, which is next to impossible at this point. It doesn't matter how good you are. It just takes one car to put you offline for whatever reason, and you half a second or 0.2 of a second, and that all adds up in the long run. But it is going to be one heck of a charge, and honestly, these drivers are really showing what they can do. The guys are keeping off, where the concrete's been laid down to get rid of the oil, so they're going a little bit offline just to keep away from it, to keep away from that dust, so they don't lose visibility, because it is really dark out there. You're trusting your headlights, and the last thing you want is anything to interfere with that, and especially going into the end stages of this race. 22 minutes left to go. You don't want any to go wrong. You are praying, your team are praying, you going and just hanging on. You got your knees, your fingers, your toes, everything crossed. Even your wires have crossed inside the head to make sure that something just stays together at this point.
Well, the 42 cars got some support in the comment section over there. And this, of course, is the Spring Motorsport Festival. You're watching SAE. And Tanya Barnard over there, Mackie Adlam and Rudy Barnard, what a race 15 minutes ago. And Noor Hendricks saying yin and yang, baby, yin and yang. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the last couple of minutes of racing to go and everything to play for now for that 42 car. We've got eyes on the 42 car at the moment, and I'm sure he's got eyes on the car in front of him. He's trying to catch up with that car in front of under a minute between the two of them, and just 21 minutes of racing to go as he charges hard to try and catch up to that car. That's Adlam and Barnard in that car over there. Mackie Adlam currently behind the wheel does a 109, and that is about 4.3 seconds faster than Harald Pretorius at the moment, Steve, and that'll be enough as Heinrich Lategan goes flying past. There comes Chop Sapuka now, but Chop Sapuka is quite far ahead of Hein Lategan, and Adcock is quite far ahead of Chop Sapuka. So I don't think the order is going to change at the moment unless something goes badly wrong for them. But what we are watching now is the race between Adlam and Pretorius. Rob Franco is firmly in the lead of Class D at the moment. And the rest of the guys at the back, Mario De Souza, Colin Ellison, and Craig Zank in the standings at the moment. But the main race that is taking place now is for second position in Class E. The rest of the team fields have pretty much sorted them out, but that hasn't stopped Heinz Lategan from setting the fastest time of his race and that car for the entire duration of this race with a 102.325. Wow, Heinrich Lategan still pushing towards the end of the race.
Ernest, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you sitting behind a wooden desk?
A wooden desk? I need to touch wood here somewhere, I would imagine.
You have to, because you just made the comment of if something goes catastrophically wrong. My friend, find something that's made out of wood. You better touch that. That's not going to happen.
I've only got my head. That's the only wooden object that I have at hand.
Perfect. That has to work, because we saw the last 20 minutes of the previous race, the last 3 hours that we saw earlier today. Anything can happen, and this is where all the stress is coming in, because these cars have taken a pounding all weekend. Friday, they were going around and around, going and getting practice in, finding the limits of these cars. They had warm-up sessions beforehand earlier in the day. They've had their first 3-hour race where we saw the guys really testing the limits and the machines taking an absolute beating. Now we're down to the last 20 minutes of the final race of the day, and it's the second last race of the season. The last thing anyone wants at this point, and I think they're willing the competition along, saying, please, just, I hope your car finishes, just will my car to finish. Let's work together and make a plan here. But it's just amazing of how much effort has gone into this moment now. And Mackie Adlam, who was way down and is new to the whole SAES, going and having a huge amount of fun and showing why he is the current Mobile One V8 champion, and having a lot of fun in the backdraft Roadster, which he's got to be very comfortable with, because it's essentially the same like his that he races. It's one big V8. It is a type of space frame in a way, and it is reasonably light. It weighs roughly the same as his Mobile One V8, and now has a chance to go after Harm Pretorius and possibly Ben Morgenrud at a push.
Yeah, Ben Morgenrud just came out of the pits there. Ben Morgenrud just came out of the pits. So Ben did go into the pits for what looks like a splash and dash, and that could affect Harm Pretorius. So Ben Morgenrud now finding Mackie Adlam on his bootlet over here. Is this for position? It might just be, and we're going to have to wait for that classification to change. This has really shook things up, and as we mentioned before, we don't know who still has to pit. It looks like Mackie Adlam is now on the boot of Ben Morgenrud, ladies and gentlemen, and this is turning out to be quite the race. Heinrich Lategan is going faster and faster and faster all the while, and here comes Mackie Adlam now behind Ben Morgenrud. The two of them go through the sweep side by side towards the final corner before the main straight. Mackie Adlam around the outside, goes past, brakes hard and gets the position. Now, this 4th position, I think it might be Ben Morgenroot slipped back, went into the pits, but we don't know if Mackie Adlam or Harm Pretorius have to pit. Mackie Adlam gets second position. Harm Pretorius is in first place. Morgenroot now in third place, but Morgenroot would definitely have done and made his last pit stop at this stage as they go flying past one of the other backdraft Cobras over there. And Chop Sapuka, as I said, in second place, but Heinrich Lategan pushing hard, setting a best time of 101.8. Even though he's 2 laps down, he's still pushing quite hard. I think he wanted to just check what the ultimate potential of the car is, but there goes Mackie Adlam now in second place in Class E. And I'm very glad we were watching that car because he is on an absolute charge. Could we see Mackie Adlam taking the win? He's now just behind Harm Pretorius, and everything to play for now as Mackie Adlam continues his charge.
So who's done the calculations to make sure the fuel is just right, to have that extra 2 laps in the tank? That's the question that's being asked right now, because as we know, these big V8s are very thirsty. We know that Morgenroot has done his final start, a quick splash and dash, but does Pretorius and Adlam have an ink to do it? Or would it have the Morgenroot family sussed out the competition and figured out their Achilles heel in the last 20 minutes of this race? But I just want to point out, the current Mobile 1 V8 champion, reigning champion, just passed, and what was before the Mobile 1 V8 was called Westbank V8, and that was done by Ben Morgan.
I still call it the Westbank V8, to be honest. I know we got to show respect to the sponsors, of course, Sorry Mobile, but I still sometimes call it the Westbank V8. I think many people do because we hark back to the glory days, but certainly Mackie Adlam right now in Class East this weekend, and the 42 car circulating so well. But let's look at that gap now as Mackie gets onto the same lap as his compatriot. Let's see how he does as he gets onto the same lap as Harm Pretorius. 25 seconds the gap now. 25 seconds the gap with 14 minutes remaining. He's about 3 seconds a lap faster at this stage. So 3 times 14 equals 45. So he should be able to catch up to Harm Pretorius. But now, does Mackie need to pit one more time? I'd love to find out from Kriya who still needs to pit at this stage, because that is exactly the information we need now going into the final 10 minutes of this race.
The easiest way is look for the pit crew that are biting their nails. That will tell you whether they are just trying to go and coast around, and whatever little bit of fuel is left in the tank, it's just got to last. We've had it before. Colin Ellison has had it at the circuit where he finished with nothing left in the tank, and they drove around until it spluttered into the pits. It had nothing left, and I think these guys are doing the exact same. So if Priya is going and taking a look, just look for the pit crew that are biting their nails and biting their friends' nails, and the stress at this point of hoping there's just enough in the tank. Will it be enough? Do they? This is where you start questioning things, and your mates start going and talking on pit wall, going, how much was in that jerry can did we put in? Did we put in 200? Was it 200 or 300?
Yeah, exactly. And nobody wants to be the guy that says, I might have made a miscalculation. Certainly not anybody in Mackie Adlam's pit box over there. But these guys are professionals. I mean, they've done plenty of top flight racing, so surely they should be able to be competent when it comes to these type of things. I'm sure that's the case. Heinrich Lategan once again sets his own personal best with a 101.7. So that car's got incredible pace underneath it, but I don't think it's nowhere near enough to get close to Adcock and Sapuka. Sapuka going a little bit faster, a little bit slower than Adcock. Adcock with a 103 consistently at the moment. But Patamba, my driver of the day so far, Steve-O, definitely Patamba. I mean, if Jeffrey Kruger had finished, he would have been right up there. But Patamba certainly my driver of the day at this stage, and maybe Mackie Adlam in the mix as well, with a first time out in this car within striking distance, now just 15 seconds behind Harm Pretorius.
I have to agree with you. you know what, this weekend we've seen guys come from the back, get to the front. And that's what we've seen in the SAGT and in the SAES. And it's just been absolutely amazing to see the guys fight it out with everything they got to claw their way through. I mean, even take a look, Jeffrey Kruger and Bothma, also, they fell right down to the back of the field, were stuck in. They fought their way up until the engine said, no more, I'm done. And that was pretty much that. But we've seen guys pulling rabbits out of the hat, making sure they can making magic at the circuit happen. And now we're getting into the closing stages with 11 minutes and 23 seconds, so it's going to be close. I'm keeping a very close eye on our Class E's because all it needs is Pretorius to pull in the pits. Then Adlam would get past. If Adlam pulls in the pits, Morgenrud gets past. There is no room for error. And you talk about the guys have done extensive testing. Yes, but I am going to refer back to earlier today with those Angel cars where they ran out of fuel and they've done extensive testing, but pushing that a little bit too hard, getting at 0.3 liters more per lap. And take a big look at some sideways action going on with Mackie Adlam as he's trying to keep it all together. But all it takes is 2 laps where you've used a little bit too much fuel, and that can change your entire race right now.
Yeah, and these guys will have to manage those fuel levels for the entire duration of the race. We saw those 2 Ferraris pulling up along the side of the circuit right here, in fact, earlier on in the GT race. As we continue to watch Mackie Adlam passing Franco over there in that Polo. And that Polo, again, also, we need to mention that Polo of Franco and Van Niekerk, they've been doing exceptionally well in their Class D car, with Van Niekerk pushing the bounds of what that car can do earlier on, giving the old boys in front a good old run for their money. Colin Ellison sets the fastest lap of the car, so now Colin Ellison starting to find some pace for himself in his car in the final closing stages of the race, so well done to him. As we look at the gap between Harm and Mackie Adlam, now down to just 10 seconds. And there goes Mackie Adlam now on the hard charge toward the finish. The final 9 minutes of racing to go, and Mackie Adlam, I'm not sure, is he listening to our commentary right now, Steve? Because I feel like he's taking what we're saying into account and listening to us. Oh, sparks coming out the back of the bottom of the car there. That's on the downshift, so hopefully nothing going on there. Is that, what is that? Is that sparks coming out the exhaust? I think that exhaust might have been disconnected at the manifold, maybe. It could be that there's a little bit of a space that's developed by the exhaust coupling on that manifold. Seeing a couple of sparks coming out the bottom of the car. Hopefully nothing serious. I'm trying to see if it's something to look out for. Maybe it's just light on the circuit reflecting. But he is still pushing hard as Mackie Adlam. Just did a 109 now. 109.0, which is just off his best time. So Mackie Adlam absolutely on the limit, and the gap now just 6 seconds to Harm Pretorius. And Mackie Adlam is about to snatch the lead of this race with just 8 minutes to go, Steve.
You go and say he's lead, but I think we've got Mr. Pretorius going and standing by and telling Harm, listen, time to get elbows out, time to show what you can do and show why you're a championship contender. And this is where guys are going to have to go elbow out in the dark. They're going to go they're going to go face to face, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, everything to try and hold it. You're going to see the width of this backdraft Roadster go twice its size. It's going to be a Ford Galaxy +1 to try and hold the position or get past. And you can be sure if Adlam gets on the inside, he is going to force Pretorius to go as wide as possible. He's going to push him right to the end of the circuit, go and kill his drive completely so he can't even get into the toe. Pretorius is going to squeeze Adlam right out of it. He's going to do everything he can. 0.8 between them. The race is on, Ernest. Here it is.
Oh,
and
yes,
there's only
indeed.
7 minutes and 27 seconds left.
7 minutes and 27 seconds left. I think that will be enough for Mackie Adlam as he starts to sneak up behind Harm Pretorius now. And Mackie Adlam, we might see him again. He does his fastest lap of the race. Mackie Adlam has done his fastest lap of the race. And here he comes now. Has a look down the inside. Harum Pretorius doesn't go defensive. He goes middle of the circuit. They've got Eligier to contend with. And there goes Mackie Adlam. There goes Mackie Adlam into the lead of Class E. He's going to let that Ligier go through. Not too worried about that. Dabs on the brakes, runs wide. Mackie Adlam runs wide now. Mackie Adlam runs wide. And Harum Pretorius goes back into the lead. And Mackie Adlam almost sees his race end in tears there. He did mention he's not used to dealing with faster cars coming up from behind. But now Harum Pretorius with a new lease on life with just 6 minutes to go. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Adlam was able to get past at first, but just got pushed wide, went wide because of the overtaking Ligier over there, but gets past him once again, late on the brakes for Adlam. They're going into that right-hander, but he gets the lead back. An almost absolute disaster for Mackie Adlam on the closing stages of this race.
Pretorius actually did a very clever move, and I'm sitting with a big smile on my face. He let the faster car go and used that Ligier like a wrecking ball. Miley Cyrus was coming through saying, you know, came in like a wrecking ball, and Adlam didn't know how to contend with it. He went wide. Pretorius stuck his nose in and of course forced Adlam to go right to the edge of the circuit. I mean, that's such a clever move, and you know, it's a very old school move to see it happen. You know, I haven't seen it in many years, but I have to take my hat off. Pretorius, that's the way you do it, and that's how you give a multiple national champion a run for his money, by using a person that's in first as a wrecking ball.
Oh yes indeed, that's exactly what he did. But at the moment we see Mackie Adlam in first place in Class E. Harum Pretorius in second place in Class E, just behind him Ben Morgenroot. Fantastic performance from all of these drivers. But you know what, Steve, one of the things that's so difficult to notice when it comes to this type of racing, you don't know what mechanical woes these guys are suffering with. You don't know if they're getting full throttle on the car. You don't know if the power steering pump is acting up. You don't know if the clutch is starting to fade. You don't know any of these things. And all of these cars are in some way or form, whether it's tires, brakes or gearbox, the walking wounded. And all of them are walking their way towards the finish line. Let's talk about your leaders over here. We've got Adcock in first place in the Ligiers, circulating now, a full 1 lap ahead of Chop Sepuka, just over 1 lap ahead of Chop Sepuka in second place. Adcock is in Class A, so he is your Class A leader at the moment. Chop Sepuka, there he goes in second place, and he is your Class C leader at the moment. So Chop Sepuka in his own right, winning that race for himself over there, and of course his teammate Kwana Makwena. In third place overall at the moment is Hein Latergan in that Porsche. Mike McLaughlin in fourth place overall. Second in Class C is Mike McLaughlin in that backdraft slingshot. Mackie Adlam slots in behind that with Harum Pretorius and Ben Morgan all fighting it out for first place in Class E as we watch the Adcock car circulate in first position. We've just got 3 minutes left of racing, and I think everybody's pretty much settled into their positions now. Let's hope nobody has to pit, because that would put everything else on its head. I think Ben Morgenroot, unfortunately, that last pit stop cost him, but that's what you've got to do. If you've strategized to pit within the last half an hour, so be it. Unfortunately, they did, and unfortunately, they paid the price after having led this race multiple times. They now find themselves in a very, though, respectable third position. Further down the order, we've got Colin Ellison, Mario de Souza, and of course Rob Frank, and Craig Zank will be glad to be still running at this stage, still circulating, and hopefully making his way towards the finish line just ahead of Baku Rubulutsa.
Unfortunately, we have had 2 retirements in this 3-hour race. Jeffrey Kruger going and having that motor blow up into smithereens. Clinton Bezadno also having their engine give up the ghost. And you know, this is the one thing about endurance racing. It doesn't matter how much prep work you've done. You are rolling the dice. You're flipping the coin. Is it going to hold or is it going to let go? You don't know. And this is what SAES is. Honestly, it keeps you on its feet. You don't know what to expect. You start supporting everyone, not just one car, and you will everyone to come on, and it's a lot more of an engaging, you get to talk about the history of the cars, you get to talk the history of the drivers, and it's lovely to see towards the end we're starting to get familiar names joining us. It's nice to see Nick Adcock and the team coming back, especially after they've been overseas for quite some time. Having a bit of fun there. Chops Buka has been having a bit of a great time, but he was nearly not able to race because he hasn't been feeling well. We've had Andrew Horn come in and join because Colin Ellison's given him a seat. The last time Andrew Horn raced was in round number 1. So guys are coming back towards the final and starting to feel that they want to give a little bit more go towards the end, and even to get a better start heading into next season. Honestly, it's been amazing, and today has been a fantastic day for the SA Endurance Series, despite everything, despite some of the chaos that have left Kriya, you, and I speechless, trying to figure out what happened. It's been absolutely fantastic, and also to have our spectators watching from all around the world on Facebook, on YouTube. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Also at the circuit, the guys enjoying the concerts and supporting the racing. It's absolutely fantastic to have them around. Thank you so much. Glad to have the crowd coming back to SA Motorsport, and we're not going and constantly sitting behind our computers.
Well, folks, we've just got seconds left in this race, 28 seconds to be exact, and it has been an extraordinary day of racing, as Steve mentioned earlier on. But at the moment, there can be only one winner. We're going to find out if Adcock's going to take the flag. We'll watch out for the flag man. They might send them out for another lap, but I doubt it, though, as Adcock makes his way through. There he is. He's got Ben Morgenroot in front of him. That is your leader and your potential winner. We don't say it's over till it's over. Adcock makes his way down the strip. Let's watch out for the flag. There's the flag. Nick Adcock gets across the line, takes the win of this round of the South African Endurance Series, the second part of our 6-hour race. This, of course, round 6. Adcock takes the win and your honors in Class A, ahead of Chop Sapuka in second position. First in Class C, Heinrich Latekan comes through next in the Porsche. Second in Class A, Mike McLaughlin gets the next position. Fourth in Class, fourth overall, second in Class C. But the man of the moment, Mackie Adlam, gets first in Class E, the most competitive class here today, leads off Harm Pretorius, and third place, Ben Morgenroot in Class E. A fantastic performance from them. There goes Rob Franco, first place in Class D, of course, followed by the rest of the guys. Mario de Souza, Craig's congratulations to him, and of course Bapu bringing up the rear over there. Jeffrey Kruger and the rest of the guys unfortunately didn't make it, but my driver of the day has to be Patamba and Mackie Adlam. It's a tough one to choose between the two. I do think Patamba might take this one, but Mackie Adlam, what a performance, gets first in Class E. These guys have done it. Incredible racing today, Steve. Wow, what a performance from some of these drivers. And there goes your winner, Nick Adcock. And thanks to Mikhail Patamba for taking them to the front of the pack. Gets the win, punches the air, and takes an incredible victory here at Port Elizabeth.
And I just want to say, it's fantastic to see Alicia coming across the line and breaking the streak. And you can be sure they're going to be super, super excited about that one.
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, just look at the scenes in the pit lane now. That Ligier has had problems all the while. They've had issues with that car every single time they've run it. They've swapped engines overnight. And that has been the plight of the Ligier over the last couple of months. But now, finally, they finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. They see the checkered flag at the end of the race. And they see the top spot of the podium for Adcock, Jensen, and Patamba. Patamba certainly has shown his colors today and starting to show his form, I think. I think we've seen Patamba do well. We've also seen Patamba in some unreliable equipment at times, but this time with a good car underneath him, showed his class with the best time of 59.346 seconds. One of the fastest times we've seen today, only behind Kruger. who we know has got incredible pace in the second Ligier. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter how fast you go on one lap. It matters how fast you go over 3 hours. And in this case, Adcock, Jensen, and Batamba were the fastest of them all.
I think if you had to walk down the pit lane and check every single car, they have got the fuel light blazing on their dash at this point, because they calculated right down to the milliliter, and that has to be Adlam and Pretorius, because they really took a gamble of keeping the cars out a little bit longer. It's been absolutely phenomenal, and despite it being 10 o'clock at night, the guys are going to be through the roof. The party is still going at the circuit. There's lots going on, and what a day it has been. I feel like let's go another 6 hours. Reckon that's going to be a good idea.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going home. Our producer says that was enough. I do, however, think, and I've got to say thanks to our team and production team in the background, I think they might have been working a little bit harder than you and I, Steve. I could be wrong. I know all we did was talk.
No, that's no question. Despite everything, I've got to take hats off to the production team, the camera guys. They had their hands full today and yesterday and worked so hard.
This week, actually.
Yeah, they worked so hard talking to us, trying to figure out everything. So while we got a little bit of time, well done to the production guys, well done to the marshals, the admin team, the officials, the drivers, the teams, the families, the spectators, even to our musicians coming out and making this a festival of note and one to remember. And ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of the day for our SAGT and SAES, and that means we've got one more round down where you are, Ernest, in Cape Town, where it is all to play for, and the championships are wide open wherever you look. It's going to be an exciting time, but my heavens, this weekend has been incredible, and once again, a first for SA Racing, going right up until 10 o'clock at night in a local endurance race.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is exactly what we've come to know and love from South African motorsport. Tanya Barnard says, what a race. Amazing. Well, Tanya, I'm sorry, Tanya, you might be a little bit biased because we know that you're part of the Barnard team. But congratulations to you, Tanya. Well done to you and the rest of your team. What a fantastic performance. We got the official results already, folks. So the results are official at this stage. I'm just trying to check if this looks like the official results. 8 Call 24/7 car gets the first position there with Adcock, Jensen, and Batamba. Amantla Cole car gets second, and first in Class C, Mokoena and Sapuka. BBR Racing gets second in Class A, third of all, Lategan Tavares. Backdraft, we've got Class C Backdraft Slingshot. Behind that, that's also Backdraft. And then Mackie Adlam and Barnard over there gets first in Class E. And I've got to say, that's the most difficult class to win because you've got a class of cars that are exactly the same, Steve. I do like endurance racing for the fact that you can mix it up. But it's nice to see that we've got both types of racing here. We've got sort of spec racing, and we've also got the open racing where we've got all these different cars going up head-to-head against one another.
I completely agree. It's fantastic to see, and it gives an opportunity for your top-notch teams to go and have an absolute fantastic time. But it also gives your guys that are more your amateur drivers, if I can put it that way, or your hobbyists, a chance to also duke it out in a championship. And this is what it's all about. The SAES and the SAGT is a very welcoming series. We like to have guys coming in. We like to have guys having questions. We love to have spectators getting involved and constantly pushing the boundaries and listening to the guys saying, listen, what can we do to make things better? What can we do to make things a bit more fair? And I got to take my hats off to everyone for such an amazing series, and it's an honor to be part of it.
Well, we just heard from our producers. They got to show our mugs now by the looks of things. And I need to make sure that I've got no incriminating evidence here behind me. Because this camera has not been on all day. There we go. There he is. That's me over there, folks. On the screen, I'm waiting for the guys to put me on screen, but I am ready for action. There we go. This is the guy you've been listening to all day, ladies and gentlemen. I know I haven't been on screen much today, but it's been quite an exciting day, and I'm glad to see that I still look awake, Steve. What about you?
I actually had to put my glasses on. So, hi guys, I'm Stephen Koenig, for anyone that hasn't seen me with glasses before. It is blazing up here in Johannesburg. We've had load shedding, but it's been truly an honor to be commentating with you, Ernest, and having everyone, and also to have Kriya down in the pits. So from my side, thank you very much, and I think that's enough of my ugly mug.
Yeah, what an incredible day's racing. We've got the official results over here, and as mentioned, the 8 Call 24/7 team are the guys that took the win overall. 154 laps completed in the 3 hours that they were racing. Just behind them, of course, Amantla. But it's always interesting to see how close these races end up at the end of the day, Steve. Just one lap separates the guys, one lap after the next, and of course, the top 3 backdraft cars all on the same lap at lap number 141, led of course by Mackie Adlam and Barnard in that backdraft 42 car. Bestie Racing Pretorius pairing in second place in Class E, Morgenroot third place in Class E. I look forward to seeing what the Morgenroot will do next time, Steve. I think some of these guys are going to come back after going back to the drawing board, and in Cape Town, for the 9 hour, we're going to see some interesting stuff, I'm sure.
It's going to be exciting. That's all I can say. And for a person that hasn't been to Cape Town, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the guys can do there, and also getting to hear from you of how to get a little bit quicker around the circuit and what the guys can do. And it's actually a little bit with a heavy heart to saying that we're getting close to the end of the season for 2022 for the SAES and the SAGT. It's been such a phenomenal series, and it disappears in the blink of an eye between the SAGT virtual that we've been having and also having our real life cars going around. You blink and it's gone. The year has gone by, and we're starting to look towards 2023 with people going, I want to get involved, I'm going to get a car, I'm going to be on that grid.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to see next year, I'm sure. We're going to see a lot of new faces, a lot of new cars going into the rest of next year, definitely. I think there's a lot of interest that's currently being shown in the series. I think there's a lot of hype around the series at the moment, and justifiably so. And I definitely think we're going to be seeing a lot more guys making their way to the fore and starting to join us as the series grows and grows over the coming years.
That is no question at all. And we're going to have Kriya down at the pits. She's going to give us the whole proceedings of everything. And I'm sure these guys are absolutely finished. And others are looking at going to the concert and going and enjoying the rest of the festivities at this point at Aldo Scribanti. What a phenomenal circuit, putting on a fantastic show. Every time we've come to the circuit, the last time we were here, there was some fantastic racing. The guys really had to work through everything, the thrills and spills. The old school design circuit really tests the driver and skills. We came back again, and it's done exactly the same. Going and chucking a spanner in the works for some, and others going and rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah, exactly. The red carpet, though, having said that, is welcome to all competitors that want to take part in the South African Endurance Series. Of course, we're looking at old drivers, young drivers, fast drivers, slow drivers, but this is turning out to be quite the playground for some of the quicker drivers in the country, Steve. It's starting to attract some of those faster drivers out there, like Mackie Adlam. We see that here, like Morgenroot, and of course, like the young Patamba over there, who competes in the DTM series, in Europe DTM Trophy Series, and he's now starting to show his form here in South Africa, finally getting a car underneath him that can go the distance and show himself, because unfortunately he's had some reliability issues in the past, but that was not the case today.
Well, it wasn't the case for this race. Remember the previous 3 hour?
Oh, yes, 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 yes,
Or,
yes, I
or, or we're
apologize.
not going to
It wasn't the
mention? Are
case
we
for
not
this
going to
race. No, no,
mention
no.
that one?
No, we can't talk about that
I-
one. It was not the case for this race.
That's it. So, absolutely amazing. But Ernest, anything from your side?
Yeah, from my side, I just want to say what a wonderful day it has been. What a wonderful weekend it has been. Thank you so much for those of you that have joined us. Thank you so much for all the people in the live stream. Laika over there, well done, car 3. She says, Noor Hendrik, Tanya Barden, Armin Bucas, Stephen Koenig, of course, that's you, Joel Greaves, Denver, and all the rest of the people in the live stream. We appreciate your support. And again, as Steve mentioned, everybody involved. Kriya is ready. We're going to hand over to her from myself and the great Stephen Koenig. Stephen, fantastic performance from you today. Thank you so much for that. We will see you guys at the next race. For now, it is over to Kriya for the final ceremony. Kriya Gangia, let's take it home. And congratulations to all the winners. Let's see you guys on the podium in the next couple of moments. Cheers for now. See you guys in Cape Town.
And just a quick wrap up, I think we need to look back at the Spring Festival, Motor Festival, and what an amazing event it was. So William Nadal is joining me just to have a little wrap up. Great racing with Stephen Sound. unfortunately. But we are back up and running as we do the podium for SAE. So just to make sure that the car doesn't go out of football again, I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible. We're giving the guys as much kudos because today was a lot of hard work, 6 hours on the track, and some amazing finishes. We'll see as we get down to the classes. But I think let's start with our overall performance for today from SAE. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Coming in second place, Top Sabuka and Glenda McQuena. And an amazing performance from the 84247 crew. Nick Adcock, Michael Jensen, and Miguel Patama taking overall first place. Do we have a representative from the team 84247 to representative? A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, guys. Don't go too far as we get into the classes as well, but you can understand on this. I think it's going to have dramatic effect looking on the stage. I mean, might as well. It's not like they were in the car for 6 hours and you do this for everything. But let us look at Class A. Coming in second place with kind of large of run and no small trials. And Class A first place goes to the 84247 Nick Adcock, Michael Jensen, and Carl Patamba. Very big congratulations to the 84247 There we go. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Class A podium. All right, we move into Class C. Coming in second place was Mike McLaughlin and Steve Clark. And taking that number 1 position, Top Sabuka, Glenda McQuena from Metro. Very big congratulations to our Class C podium. Alright, we move on to Class D and a first place finish here for Roberto and Robert Franco and Donnie Vanica. That's a win for you guys. That's a podium, on top of the podium finish. A very big congratulations to the team. And then we move on to Class E, which literally came down to the wire tonight. The last 2 laps, between 3 and 2 laps, there's so much action, and it was very interesting to see how these places finished up. So, ladies and gentlemen, in your third place, please put your hands together for Ben and Benjamin Morgan. The Morganroots are taking their time to come up to the stage, making a good thing last a little longer. Benji's got a bit of a fan club here. Alright, third place finish for you guys. Alright, this one was, like I said, right down to the wire. Coming in, second place is Herman Barnett Pretorius. Nicely done, Herman Barnett. Congratulations, taking a second place finish there. Continuously double checking it. I'm going to go with what I have on my piece of paper at the moment. On my piece of paper, I have coming in first place, Matthew Adlam and Rudy Barnard from Backstop Racing. Thank you very much, and a big congratulations to your Class B podium. Alright, teams, don't go too far because we do have index of performance, and this one's going to be a goodie. Oh yeah, give me some excitement over there. It's a goodie. It's a goodie. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Index of performance coming in third is Lotman and Tavares. Alright, my hype team behind me making a lot of noise. It's going to be excited about this finish. Boys, put your hands together for Justin and Walter McCray coming in second. That is a second place index of performance for that team. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our index of performance winners, the Pretoriuses. Herman Bond, Pretorius, please come and join us on stage. Index of performance winners. Myron Pretorius and Myron Pretorius taking away index of performance tonight. Thank you very much, guys, and big congratulations to our Top Performance winners. Thank you so much to everyone that came out and joined us in Port Elizabeth at the Aldous Gabranti Raceway. My name is Craig Ingle. We'll be joining me once again in the first week of December as we go to Killarney for the final session of the Southern African Endurance Series. Myself, Craig Ingle, Stephen Koenig, and Ernest Cage back in studio. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time out for the races.